It's celebrating St. Patty's Day. Welcome to the Clevelandmoto podcast and light 'em up.
Yeah.
I was going to say, mine only does this noise. Right?
Who brought the Irish whiskey?
Hey, no, that was exactly it. They brought the Colorado whiskey. Now, what did you bring?
I just brought a cooler full of leftovers from
I saw
Sunday.
you with, but you were just drinking the Stranahans too.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Right. So I was going to say, we managed to do it. It's one of the very few times I'm wearing a sprinkling of green, just the barest of greens.
A smattering.
I'm wearing my German green
You are
t-shirt
literally
that I bought.
wearing the
I got this at an Irish bar in Bamberg.
Bamberg. That's hilarious. So in case you didn't pick up, the reason that we're not outside, the reason you don't have the dulcet ambient tones of West Park or Cam's Corners, Cleveland, running through your ear holes right now is because, one, it's pretty fucking cold out there. That 58 degrees or whatever they were talking about.
Never made it.
Never made it.
It's 41 right now.
It's 41, yeah. So it's a little too chilly to be outside, even with the big ass fire going. So
And the wind, too, picked up.
the wind's picking up, but mostly, we have an extraordinarily strong front of assholes drifting in from the west.
Yeah.
And so for people who've never been to our shop before, we are in the literal armpit of Irish Cleveland. If there were to be an Irish hate crime committed, it would have to be within 3 blocks of this shop, right? There's no mistaking it. We should be called the Pride of Cleveland. Like, we are so legit dug in. We've got 3 Irish bars to our immediate right.
And they import the bartenders from Ireland.
They do. We have 4 or 5 Irish bars to our left, and we have the main center for Irish dancing and pipey, kilty bands. That's all not 8 blocks from where we're sitting right now. We are somebody's phone's ringing. We're ground zero for a fucking drunk leprechaun sighting. And while I was outside today conducting business as one does on a Wednesday, I got every kind of fucking tip of the hat, right? I mean, these dudes were lubricated at noon. I had to wade through limos coming into the shop this morning for kegs and eggs. These bars that are supposedly lightly open. I saw the bar down here, the 32.
Yeah.
So the 32, they're fucking, we're only 35 deep. No, that's it, 35 deep. That's what we got. Food specials, we're only 35 deep. 35 deep outside the fucking place. Right. There's 35 people outside smoking. There's got to be nobody inside at all doing business. But it's St. Patty's Day. And if you're going to take the parade away, what you're going to do is you're going to force all the drunks indoors.
Right.
So that's what happened.
Well, the parade did happen, though, right? Oh, it did not happen this
No,
year?
it didn't
No,
happen.
there's no
It was
parade.
canceled.
Oh, I
2 years
thought-
in a row.
2 years, okay.
Only time in 193,000 years that Cleveland hasn't had a St. Patty's Day parade. Second biggest parade in America behind Chicago, goddammit.
The best part about the St. Patty's Day parade, though, in Cleveland,
Yeah.
is that 1 year it's 70.
Yes.
1 year it's
12.
snowing.
Do you remember a couple
It's
years
like-
ago, it was like a blizzard, like
Oh,
full
yeah.
on, like, yeah.
And
I remember, and I take my kids every year.
Yep.
And they, like, when they were little, they'd sit on my shoulders, and we'd be in the sun 1 year, and so the best thing I remember from it was one of the county commissioners was marching along, like how all the politicians are in this
if
parade.
you haven't been in a St. Patty's Day parade, it's a bunch of old white men walking.
Yeah, but they have horses too.
All the
So, and my kids loved it when the horses shit in the street.
Of course.
So
They're supposed to be at the end of the parade.
yeah, but they were somewhere in the middle, and so there were all these piles of horse poop in the street. So my kids and their friends started, and they were like maybe 12 years old, whatever, and they're chanting, "Step, step, step in the poop," because the cadence, like all the bands have the same cadence
Yep.
in the marching drums. So they're saying it the whole time. And so one of the county commissioners is like waving and smiling, and she steps like full on right into the horse poop, and my kids just go nuts. Like everybody in the whole audience is like, on the parade route just starts screaming in delight because this lady stepped right in the horse crap.
We did it for many, many years. We would have the scooter club. We would book it, and you have to book it like 9 months in advance. So we'd book it and get permitted and everything else to do the parade. And there's always some sort of a lie you have to tell because you go past the reviewing stand, and at the reviewing stand, they say things about your group.
Right.
But meanwhile, when you're asking permission to be in the parade, they want to know why they should let you in.
Right.
And so we would always say, an eclectic group of vintage European motor scooters, right? And stuff like that. But then the day of the event, I mean, it is March 17th, for fuck's sake. If anybody that showed up, we would take them.
Right.
So, and there was this thing where they would, for a few years, where they put us directly behind Dykes on Bikes. So Dykes on Bikes is our local lesbian, and let's just call them what they are. They're the Hogettes. I mean, this is the lesbian chapter of the Harley Owners Group. And so it's just ladies riding cruisers is all it is. And they're legit Dykes on Bikes. I mean, that's their thing.
At a parade speed? I mean,
Yes. Oh, yeah. So, they're going 2, right? Or 1. And they're literally just idling for the course of the parade. And, Cleveland's got a really long parade route. It's usually a couple of miles, right?
And they're turning their oil into coal.
Exactly, right? Right. So as the group that we would represent, we always had Shriner moves. So we would do circles, we'd do figure eights, and then what we would do is we'd do big circles, and then occasionally people that were brave enough would do wheelies up the middle. So we'd do wheelies up the middle, stoppies, and then I would always bring a sidecar rig so we could fly the car and then do drifting and shenanigans with the sidecar. It's just better, fun for everybody. But we would keep doing figure eights and then just moving with the group. So we never slowed down. We just were always going. Meanwhile, the Dykes on Bikes would cruise along with their feet down. Like, you could push the bike. It'd be a lot easier, right? But this was for years and years and years. And yes, one year they put us behind the fucking mounted. And I was like, this is just dumb. I mean, there's horse shit and motorcycles doesn't mix. So yeah, it was pretty bad. But yeah, no matter what our thing was, you'd always sign up real early so you could get near the front of the parade.
Right.
But the advantage was if you were near the way back of the parade, the super far way back of the parade would step off. I think it's like at 11:07 a.m. There's some kind of a rule about it being 11:07. The parade stops off at 11:07, but if you're at the tail end of the parade, you actually don't move until about 1 o'clock.
Right, it's a really, really long
It's
parade.
a big parade. And when these guys say that it's every person who has some kind of a job in Cleveland is in the parade. So
Every union person that has some kind of job.
any union person is exactly
Not the
right.
scabs aren't allowed to
No,
march.
exactly. If you own a green piece of clothing, you're in the parade, right? I mean, I saw the Irish breakdancing union and all the different stuff. They're out there. It's for real.
If you have a pom-pom.
Yep.
Or one of
Anybody with a
those.
pom-pom, you're good to go. And 19 marching bands that are all instantly. I mean, we have Shaw High School, and Shaw High School is the blackest marching band in the world. Go on YouTube and type in Shaw High School.
And they're
because
awesome, though.
Straight up legit.
Yeah.
They march and smoke at the same time. When I was a kid in high school, we would always do Battle of the Bands, and we were always like, we were a swing band, kind of high energy. But then anytime we'd have to compete against Shaw, we'd just be like, and we're fucked. If Shaw shows up, you're done. But Shaw would show up in like one bus that they borrowed from another school. But Shaw High School is in the St. Patty's Day parade sometimes, which is the dumbest thing in the world. So it is a very funny thing, and we love it. And that's where Cleveland is Cleveland. Cleveland's really great at St. Patty's Day because it is legit.
Because everybody gets along down there.
Oh, my God.
Everybody gets along. And
Yes, everyone gets along. But
everybody's
usually
drunk, too.
Everyone's frozen, and then by 2 p.m. everyone's shit-faced, right? And then by about 1 o'clock in the morning, they start finding like white dudes frozen to the concrete in their own pee. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Taking the rapid is the biggest
Yes.
thing, too, because it's like putting like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Yeah.
Everybody's packed in there.
Yep.
And you can't breathe, you can't move, you can't do anything.
I've known people who only take the rapid one time a year, and it's St. Patty's Day.
It's like bar time in Tokyo.
Yeah, they have no idea how the rapid works. They just show up, and somebody pushes them into it. And then they end up downtown, and that's it. They came in from the heights. That's
Just
how they
don't
do
get
it.
on the red line.
Right, exactly.
Because you're going to the wrong side of town.
Yeah, you're going to be the wrong
You're
spot.
from this side of
They
town.
don't have a parade there. So anyway, we've had St. Patty's Day today, and yes, the number of assholes outside are just fucking hilarious. But it is, if we were outside right now, we would be visited by the ghosts of St. Patty's Day past, St. Patty's
Present.
Day future, and present. Exactly. Super, super big day for Clevelanders, and we didn't have a parade, so here's to that. Here's to Cleveland being smart and say, despite the financial ramifications of not having St. Patty's Day, we're not going to do it because this shit ain't over yet. So here's to us for not forcing everybody to spit on each other.
I wonder if it would have been difficult too. Are the restaurants still?
They're open.
Are they open?
They're open, but there's
capacity?
a lot of rules.
Yeah, like 25% capacity.
You can't. I mean, straight up, if you had pocket of assholes, if your restaurant was Tam O'Shanter or whatever, and you're down there serving corned beef and cabbage today, and the governor says you're not allowed to have any more than 35 people in your joint.
Well, you have 10 times as many people trying to pack their asses in
So
there.
we got our corned beef today. I thought it was a dumb idea, but James was like, oh, it's St. Patty's Day. He's Irish. Robertson. Go figure. James Robertson's Irish. And the whole fucking Robertson family. So they had to have corned beef today by law. He went down to Hatfield's. And Ken, just down the street here. And Ken had done 9,000 pounds of corned beef. And he brought back corned beef that I will say, single-handedly, the greatest corned beef I've ever had in my life.
That guy is an awesome
He's a
cook.
fucking artist is what he is. Ken
That's an
Hatfield's.
amazing restaurant.
Ken Hatfield, and yes, there is an actual family relationship to the Hatfields and McCoys. And Ken Hatfield married our friend Jess, who we've known forever. They run this bar and restaurant that is Hatfields and McCoy themed. And I can choke back the irony of going to a restaurant that's Hatfields and McCoy themed, where our northern border is Canada. Look, if you're going to have a southern-themed restaurant, please be south of the Mason-Dixon, right? But I can choke it
and
back.
Queen Elizabeth.
Exactly. I can choke it back. We would have more luck going to an honest Scottish-themed restaurant than a Hatfields and McCoy's themed restaurant. But anyway, the food, though.
His barbecue, his best barbecue. He's got the hillbilly burrito. I love the hillbilly burrito.
The macaroni and cheese alone has two ingredients that you don't expect in macaroni and cheese. Brown sugar and bacon. Maple, brown sugar, and bacon in your fucking milk, in your macaroni and cheese.
And it's so good.
You don't expect macaroni and cheese to be sweet. And then when you have it, you're like, this is evil. This is going to kill me right now. And so, you do a $10 to-go order from Hatfields, and you're going to be asleep in 31 minutes.
And it's not keto.
No, it's fucking not keto. No way, baby. So that's that. So, to my immediate left is...
Dan Kromke.
And you didn't ride tonight.
Nope. 40 in the 40s in the sunlight, I'm in. At night, not so much.
Not so much. And to his left,
Steve Hoffert.
did you ride tonight?
No, I got dropped off.
Exactly.
Because I figured I was going to drink, and there's 4 bazillion cops everywhere.
Yes, there are. Tonight is amateur night. So that's it. To your left,
Chris Smith.
did you drive here under your own power?
I did.
done.
And
Can you give me a ride home?
yeah, and I'm staying dry tonight.
Yeah,
I got
right.
a big day tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I've got announcement for Steve Hoffert.
Oh, no.
Where the Smith family is now up on the Hofferts 2-0 for the calendar year 2021. Mrs. Smith killed her first 2 chipmunks today.
Don't worry. I'll catch up.
The furry little fuckers.
So she saw little cocksuckers running around, and we got these snap traps. And so she takes it out, and normally she'll put peanut butter on there to really, get them to satiate, right?
But she just threw them at the chipmunks and killed them.
Nailed them, yeah. But she did nothing but put sunflower seeds on it. And honest to God, she got 2 of them motherfuckers.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so, we're hoping that they're the little pregnant bitches so we don't get the little babies in 6 weeks.
Okay, all right.
And so I got that. And then the other announcement was, so yesterday morning, I was thinking, I think on St. Patrick's Day I'll go down and get some sandwiches for everybody down at the Superior Deli, which is down at 30th and Superior.
Absolutely, yep.
And we're good friends with them. They're a real nice family. So as I'm driving to work, and I thought, that's going to be a fucking pain in the ass, going down to Superior Deli on St. Patrick's Day, regardless of when you get there. You can get there at 6 a.m. and still a line out the door, right?
Absolutely.
So I thought, well, what's the difference if I just have the corned beef or pastrami sandwiches on the day before
Exactly.
St. Patty's Day?
Right.
And I called everybody. I said, "You guys give a shit if we eat it today?" No.
No, bring it on.
So I went down there,
'cause they're
we
so
zipped
good.
right in, zipped right out.
And
I
we have
thought,
Slimans in Cleveland, and the biggest thing about Slimans is if you order a small sandwich, it's 37 pounds, right?
and
Right.
same with
Same with
Superior,
Superior. Like,
yeah.
That's just the way they are.
Yeah.
But this thing I got from Hatfields was crazy, but it was also just the most delicious melt in your mouth sandwich I've ever had. Why are you killing the Gophers?
the Gophers go after Mrs. Smith's seeds when she.
More important job. I want you to kill every golfer on the course. I'm wrong, Sandy, but if I kill all the golfers, they're gonna
We may have to throw away the key.
Yeah. I mean, chipmunks?
Chipmunks.
Chipmunks.
Yeah.
Right?
So they, she's gonna be planting her garden, and and so the chipmunks will get in underneath the deer barrier.
Okay.
It goes all the way to the ground. They'll burrow up underneath,
Well, as they chipmunks do, yeah.
and then
Right.
she'll plant her seeds for a lettuce and arugula and
Right.
stuff like that. They'll just burrow in and eat the
And
fucking
then just eat
seeds.
the fucking seeds, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
so we
So,
don't
the
get
seeds
anything.
never have a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, so Hoffert and I last year were having a competition with the 5-gallon pail of water.
Oh, to see how it
with,
could drown as many chipmunks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
throw the seeds on top of it, and they'll just fall right in.
Go for it.
So she went with the snap traps right
Yeah.
out of the chute. So,
You got two.
Yeah.
You're two up.
and we're hoping it's
Okay,
the,
well, I'm gonna have to.
the breeding pair. We're hoping.
Fair enough. The breeding pair. Good luck.
So the other trick too is that they have they burrow down into the ground. So
Yeah.
we used to have a friend of ours in our medical office who is a dermatologist, and he used a lot of dry ice.
Okay.
So if you get a chunk of dry ice,
Right.
and you go out there at night, put the dry ice on the top of the hole,
Okay.
it'll convert back into a gas.
Right.
The CO2 will
It'll
go
choke
down to
them
the
out.
bottom,
Yeah.
and they'll sleep
They'll
restfully.
asphyxiate. Yes, exactly. They'll have a nice deep sleep.
So we did that a couple of times. So we've used all sorts of
Methods.
But does
Yeah.
that work? Do you have proof that it worked?
Yes, actually, I would tie a string around the little bastard and then pull him up later.
Gonna say.
Excuse me. Oh my God! And to his left,
Oh, me, Steve,
Yeah, that's you.
sleeping. Yeah. And Dan, driving today anywhere is not. Or driving, riding is
Yeah.
a bad idea.
oh yeah.
Just with all the unprofessionals out there just getting hammered.
So, yeah, you're not kidding. We had one of our customers and friends, guest of the podcast, one of our inside track people, Joe Howard, gentleman, comedian. Joe Howard got nuked today on his Stella. So this morning at dark 30, going to his job at Ford, riding his Stella, which is, again, his dick must be so big because he has a baby blue scooter with all the mirrors and all the windshields and the whole deal. And this is an opportunity for all you people to go on your devices and type in Joe Howard, traditional spelling, Joe Howard, comedian. He's fucking hilarious. He's absolutely hilarious. But, he got his start on our podcast. We launched his entire career. He'll tell you. He'll be the first to admit everything he did, everything he learned about comedy, he learned on our podcast. Timing. Right there. So he's a stalwart student of the Clevelandmoto podcast. But today, his clock got punched by a car turning left in front of him at dark 30 in the fucking morning.
He said 5:20 in the morning.
5:20 in the morning. I don't know how two vehicles passed each other on Lake Road at that time, unless the guy was going to Kegs and Eggs, which I'm sure he was. But so yeah, Joe got hit by a car. What did in fact turn in front of him, and not joking. If you do want to have a good laugh at somebody else's expense, literally listen to Joe Howard's stand-up. He's fucking hilarious, and he's our kind of hilarious, self-deprecating. He knows he's the dumbest smart guy in the room. Right. And but yeah, his scooter apparently is just rat fucked. We got to go pick it up at the impound lot. But he's got a couple of broken ribs and a collapsed lung, and he's not doing great. So feeling terrible for him.
Chest tube is like the worst.
It is the worst. And broken ribs. There's a picture of Joe up right now. We just pulled it up on the screen, giving us that awesome hospital emergency room selfie. So yeah, there's Joe. And just telling you, this is one of those ones where anything, any love for our podcast people, right? And I don't know if anybody's seen Joe recently, but Joe's put on a lot of beard and lost a lot of weight. So it's hard to look at that guy with that amazing Santa Claus beard and know that he's younger than I am by a bit. So anyway, but that's Joe Howard, and he's going to be on the mend for quite a while. We're going to see what we can do about the scoot.
Well, there's a lot of fog this morning too.
It was foggy as hell this morning.
I rode the Monkey.
Oh yeah,
and
To work this morning?
yeah, to work, and I was kind of concerned because it's slow.
oh yeah.
And there was fog, but I did ride the Spade home,
Okay, all right.
and I got it up to. Anybody want to take a guess?
The Spade?
72.
Nope, 70.
70.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So on the way to work, I could only get it up to. I could get the Monkey at falling off a cliff. It was doing 54 miles an hour.
Oh really?
The Spade was doing 70 on the way. I mean, not all the way, not all the time, but I mean, 66 was probably a good flat speed,
Sure.
and it's only got 100 miles on it. So.
Right. Totally nowhere near broken in yet.
No, I'm saying that 70 is probably a good number for that.
I can
bike.
tell you that having one that I can guarantee wasn't broken in, I rode it like the town bike. I mean, I did, from the time it came out of the crate, it never dropped under 10,000 RPM. It never got shifted at less than 10,000 RPM. I would shift it when it would stop accelerating. And it was my test bike. It was the test bike I wanted to find out what it would do. But within a couple of 100 miles, I got 72 miles an hour, and that was with us GPS confirming the speedometer. So, yeah, super kick-ass, man. They're fun bikes. The Spade is kind of the bike nobody talks about, right? It really is kind of the machine that everybody's like, oh, monkey, 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 or everybody's grom, 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 or whatever. But the Spade is quietly sitting in the back stirring the fire with its dick. Yeah. It is just the best of all of them.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost feel like getting rid of the Monkey.
Oh, well, come on.
No,
But anyway,
seriously.
I mean, if you do, you do. That's fine.
And it was one of the first ones to have 5 speeds because everybody else had 4
4
until
speeds,
the
yeah.
TNT came out.
That's right.
So now the new Grom has 5.
Right.
So
Yep.
will the new Grom engine go into the Monkeys and the Super Cubs?
Sounds like it's time for a shootout, friends.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean,
I
we
think
have
so.
all the players here, right? All we need to have is somebody with a new Grom. So if you're willing to spend the money on a brand new Grom, show up because we got TNT 135 kicking around. We got a Spade kicking around. Your job is to break that bike in.
I'm working on. You know
That's
what?
right.
And I said, screw it.
So,
you know
yeah.
how I said I was going to wait 1,500 kilometers, like it said in the book, to take it into Redline.
Right,
Well,
right.
fuck it. It was Redline all day today.
Change the oil. That's all you got to do. I mean,
I'm
look,
going to
we've been
change
through
it
enough
next
of these
time I
things.
take it in. So.
Yeah, this is how we operate. Change the oil. Look at you guys who are paying attention to the podcast, watching our stupid videos. Last Sunday, we went out and we had unrequited love with 6 Chinese motorcycles with these 125s.
And Steve's prize for winning the contest was
What? Hemorrhoids?
nope, to change the oil in
Oh,
all
he
the
changed
bikes
the oil on all
himself.
the bikes. I was doing chain adjustments. You were doing oil changes.
Right.
And so, Steve, what's your opinion of the way the oil looked after the break-in of? Well, my bike got ridden for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So two outings. Yeah.
Yours was extra 70s.
Yeah. Super glitter.
Extra 70s. The rest were I'm trying to achieve that with some of my painting.
Oh, yeah.
That nice, the real nice, just glitter looking going.
did, man.
But but
Looked like liquid metal.
mine had a couple of chunks.
Yeah. Right.
The
As you
rest
will.
of them were good.
And
the rest
John's
of them were
bike
good.
had no oil.
Yeah,
he had
John's
2 ounces of oil in
John-
it.
But to their credit,
Yeah.
I mean they were flawless, right?
So to describe what we did is we went out there and
Ouch.
Steve's ouch. Right. I gotta say that was so. This is Wednesday.
I'm still sore.
That was Sunday. There is a 4-inch perimeter around my asshole that is straight up first week in prison. Like there is a legit a DMZ. So there's I wipe carefully. I don't just go at it anymore. I actually went and changed from our normal toilet paper to a high aloe content toilet paper and I will only shit at home on the bidet. That is it. I'm only going to use the Toto because apparently that seat on an SSR 125 is made of vibranium.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
There is no recoil to it.
No.
There is only pain.
Did you see? So we put up the bike build off video today.
Yeah,
so if
it
you have
was
a chance,
amazing.
go up and watch it.
Yeah.
Your rep saw it and left a message for you.
Oh, really? So our rep John Bible from
Yes.
SSR,
He
did
was
he leave
like,
us a message on our?
This is great. I'm your rep for SSR.
In case you didn't know,
Yeah.
I'm your rep.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who you ordered those bikes from.
Right.
And
he loved it.
Oh, I'm glad he
absolutely
loved it. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Oh, that's super cool.
Sorry, I
man.
let him down too. I let the whole world down.
Now wait. Now for the record, there's two videos. So there's
Yeah,
there's the short video, and
It's the recap.
Right.
It's the bite size. Watch it in 21.4 minutes
Right.
and get
Yeah.
the whole gist of it.
Yeah.
Or if you're hardcore and you want to see us sweat and die, then the whole thing is up. But I actually put, so instead of the one being blank, I put the, I forget what it is, but it's like it's the main camera. So
Okay, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Zoom recorded like whoever was talking.
yeah, that goes to green. The green highlights the audio from whoever's speaking.
Right, but it also, that one just recorded that whole screen.
Okay, great.
So I made that the top left corner, and it says full zoom audio, whatever, on it.
Oh, does it?
And then the rest of them are the whole screen where it was bouncing around. But
Nice.
it's the gallery view.
Okay, great.
So you have the gallery view,
Yeah.
and at the same time, what was coming out of Zoom on that big long one.
Nice.
So,
Oh, that's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
John Bible. John Bible's our rep for SSR.
Yep.
I love it. I'm the SSR rep for Clevelandmoto, and I've put a few of my demos together myself. I feel your pain. I wish I could have made it there live for this event. It looked like a lot of fun. Then Bengro says, would this be an event you would enable for a group of friends? Enable. I like how he uses enable. Like as somehow we're like,
Heroin
the
addicts.
heroin goes in your left hand, the spoon goes in your right hand, right? And then Oscar says Oscar Orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, for real, if anyone does want to do a shootout, we now have a pretty good formula for it. I honestly feel like that formula was pretty great. There's one or two little tweaks we would do regarding the audio in the future.
Yeah.
But as far as the fun of it goes, the fun of it was amazing. It was great.
Yeah, if I was
I think
concent-
Nick's still a little angry.
He is. But I was obviously concentrating on the thing. But if I
Yeah,
would have thought of
yeah.
it, we would have just had a microphone recording you talk.
Yeah.
That's as simple
And
as
that's
it could have
fair.
been.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know, and
Yeah.
we didn't think of it. But that's
Yeah.
all right. Next time.
But I don't know why. I mean, groups should think about this as like a team building stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
rather than going out
seriously.
and doing a ropes course,
I know.
you could each build your own goddamn
It'd
motorbike.
probably cost the same amount.
I think it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would.
Right,
My wife
then
does a
you'd
lot of
have
those ropes courses.
You'd have a nice SSR 125,
Right. Yeah,
and
the
you
toy
can
when you're done.
actually keep that team building going on when you ride together.
Yeah, I
man.
agree.
Sunday was the perfect team build. I had more fun Sunday. I got more sunshine in my body, more vitamin D, and I mean actual vitamin D.
And I mean, actual vitamin
Yeah.
D, not the kind that comes out of a zipper. Right? Yeah. Hold on, let me open up my vitamin D. Zip. Yeah. It's a
but
little
we had-
chunkier than usual.
But I mean, it was cold and it didn't matter.
Right.
You know, nobody cared it was cold. It was a great day. That
it
was
was
an awesome
great.
day. Yeah.
And what was funny about it was, like, I can tell you by the time we broke for sausage, right? By the time we actually stopped to put, meat in our face to
Her mouth.
get a mouthful of sausage. By the time we stopped, I was fucked, man.
Yeah.
I was 100% beat.
Yeah.
Like, all of the things that you use to ride a dirt bike are totally different than the things you ride a street bike with. And, you can say, oh, I don't have my helmet, I'm going to go gentle. That lasts for 1.1 laps.
Yeah, right.
Because I was going, the branches that were hanging off of some of the trees, I had my knit cap on, and I'd go blasting by, and I'd hit these branches. And Steve doesn't have a single tree on his property that isn't a pricker bush.
Right.
Or like a rose or a hawthorn or like those United States Marine Corps
Something very
area denial
whippy.
weeds.
Yeah, whippy weeds.
I'd
yeah.
never seen a tree that was actually called a concertina. But I'm missing a good portion of my right ear because it is back in a tree on his property. Because I didn't know when you go under a tree, your ears stick out. Now my ears
everything.
don't even stick out a lot, but it stuck out enough that I grabbed a thing off the tree and took it with me for like 45 feet.
Well, it was bad enough that I actually had a helmet on.
Yeah.
But I took the brim off so I could try to
Yeah.
record some stuff.
Right.
And so I usually wear a hat, but I had an interview today, so I had to comb my hair.
Mm-hmm.
So I combed my hair back, and I'm like, what the fuck are all these things? And here's like, there's scratches.
Oh,
like,
I
at the
scratched
top,
the shit.
fucking
My
all
whole
over the
face
top
was
of my head.
scratched up.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I mean, really, it should have been called Death Race 2000.
It should have been. I agree.
No,
If you describe that course,
Yeah.
I mean, the course had so many hazards in it. OSHA would have fined me $1 million.
Oh,
for that,
come on.
for that course.
We raked all the broken big
The
pieces
soft
of glass
barrier
out of
was a
there. Yeah.
pile of cinder blocks.
Yes, exactly. There was to put it mildly, up until a very short time ago, there was a barn on the property,
Right.
and the barn met with a fiery demise. But everything that was in the barn didn't get taken out of the barn; it just exploded. So
Yeah, because the acetylene and oxygen tanks that were blowing off in the inferno.
I didn't want to
that
actually.
Nick made.
I didn't want to admit to that. So here's a safety tip from your Unkie Phil. This will be a future Moto Stories, by the way. If you're gonna burn a barn down, take all the acetylene out of it first.
Take all the explosives out of it.
Not only that, but take the air compressors out.
Propane tank.
Propane tanks would be a good idea.
Get all that shit out of
Vehicles
there.
with gasoline tanks.
In the case, apparently, Steve, somebody's at the door. You want to let him in? Apparently, what Steve said was, we're burning the barn down in situ, which we knew about, which is totally fine, but we didn't know it was pret-a-porter, ready to wear. Like, we had no idea that meant if there's 57 cannonballs from the Civil War in there, we're going to burn those too, right?
Yeah.
And it's all going up, or it's all going down, I should say. So, what's going on, man?
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
Good.
And
Mark.
and not joking, like the fire. What happened is the fire was going. We started hearing this noise, and so people who were there will describe the noise as whoosh. But the weirdest thing was, as the whoosh noise started happening, the fire started getting bigger. So we were having trouble getting the fire to burn in certain areas. Legit, we were having problems getting the fire to
But
burn.
Nick really,
And Nick was working really hard on this one particular corner of the barn fire,
with the acetylene tanks.
and it wasn't working, right? And so at some point we were like, oh, a corner of the barn we got going pretty good, another corner of the barn we got going pretty good, but the fire wasn't happening where we wanted it to happen at the speed we wanted it to happen. But then we heard this, and I've heard that sound at like airports, when they're lighting something up, right? And I was like, okay, well, that's weird. And then I noticed this bright, almost white-colored plume of fire at a 45-degree angle coming out of the middle of the fire. And I was like, well, that's odd. Yeah. But all of a sudden, the fire got more energetic, and we didn't need to feed it anymore. Because we had basically expired 10 gallons of gas burning this thing down.
Oh, at least 10 gallons of gas, maybe.
I was trying to be nice for the customers, for the people out there in podcast land. Legit, I don't want to admit we used like 43 gallons of gas on this fire.
For the people in New Russia.
I could barely get home. So this bright yellow or bright white flame was coming out of the corner there, and it would go from bright white to purple. Yeah. I was like, well, that's not normal. And we started involuntarily congregating behind this big trailer. And it was like we were all little sky. You ever had that game when you were a kid and you'd turn it and the football players would vibrate all over the ground, right? And you'd turn it and it would go brrrr, and the football players would just fuck off into general directions. Right. But they would all end up in the same spot anyway if you just left it go. That's how we were with that trailer. We all got behind the trailer to smoke cigarettes and drink beer waiting for the place to blow up. And I kept asking Steve, are you sure there isn't a gas line going to that barn? And he's like, no, there's no gas line.
There was no gas line.
He even went into the house, what's left of the house, to check to make sure there wasn't a gas line that was still turned on.
Right, and I checked the meter to see if it was
spinning.
rolling.
It wasn't spinning.
Whipping around.
Yeah.
And he comes back and it's still going. I was like, but then it went. And it was like way more energetic, and I was like, shit, I took 4 steps back. Because that'll save your ass. 4 steps is, ask anybody who was on the Hindenburg.
Yeah.
4 steps makes all the
Open
difference in the
casket
world.
versus closed.
Cameraman versus guy who died, right? So, the huge manatees. And we heard that noise, and we started getting back, and it did. The fire got way bigger. We didn't need to feed it anymore. No. And at some point, you could feel your face getting real warm at about 130 feet.
The
And then-
shingles turned into liquid.
Literally, it was crazy. The shit
I
that
still
was
have
happening.
the burn on my hand.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
the shingles were dripping.
Dripping. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Right.
They turned into like pure liquid.
Back into liquid.
Meanwhile, the barn was
Let's be
still
honest, aluminum turned into liquid as well.
I was going to say, we have plenty of aluminum in there that was a puddle.
Oh, the engine blocks from
engine
the
block
engines or
melted
from the
down.
mowers
Right.
over there are just a puddle.
So it took not shitting anybody 20 minutes for this noise to go away. So the noise went away, and again, we were all convinced that it was either an air compressor tank
Right.
or maybe a propane tank
Right.
that had a little bit left in it, but it burned for way too long. And then the fire department was nice enough to show up and bring their 7 other fire department friends. So we had like
Cover the entire
Legit-
yard with foam.
legit 3 fire departments there and 11 vehicles we counted. They used up 4,000 pounds of foam, 26 hours of overtime each for 47 people. It's why the city can't have fireworks next year because of Steve's barn. No shit. And they yelled at us while kind of smirking after they put our fire out.
They wouldn't eat our pizza either. As
They
we
wouldn't
sat,
eat our pizza?
As we sat around eating pizza,
We sent
watching
Nick to
them.
buy pizza. We were freezing our asses off because they took our fire away. And Nick went and got pizza and came back with pizza. And we had all this pizza, and our fire was put out with a gratuitous amount of foam. And of course, you know, firemen aren't cool about anything. To a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And to a fireman, everything looks like an excuse to get shit dirty.
Right.
Fuck them, they got to clean that hose. They used everything. And again, you couldn't get down your street. Now, when we say Steve lives on a street, Steve lives on a state route.
Yeah, 50 mile an hour
It's
all day.
It's a straight up 50 miles an hour right off the freeway, no fucking around. If Steve's street is closed, Oberlin can't function. And Pooh won't go anywhere. But legit, 9 or 11 fire vehicles all there. Everybody was having a great time. It
unbelievable.
was great. And so now that barn is burned down. And now we're riding dirt bikes through what used to be the barn.
right.
There's about, I'm going to, not shitting, 600 pounds of broken glass.
Yeah, and I like when we first got there, you were
Yeah.
like, yeah, we cleaned it up pretty good. And I'm looking down, like 7-inch pieces of shards with things sticking out. I was like,
This was literally a prison shank.
Yeah.
It already had tape around the handle and everything. Just looking for a tire to go into.
I'm like, our tires aren't lasting
We're
for
not
more
gonna
than
make
5 minutes. So, but you got unbelievably, if you have a giant dirt bike track with
Yeah.
1,000 pounds of broken glass in it,
Right.
a fucking plastic rake does amazing things.
does a great
I
job.
could not believe how well it got the glass out
So
of it.
we went in and we cut in 2 new important trails. We cut in the Tunnel of Love.
Tunnel, and that's all on you. And you did an awesome job.
I had
with
Dan's
that.
old chainsaw. I had Dan's old chainsaw, and I had a pair of gloves on, and I went back into the forest, and I cut this property line out to give us this beautiful run along these pine trees, this stand of pine trees.
And you could lay into it.
Oh,
down
you
there,
can
too.
rip. And
Although, going into it, the 45-degree route isn't exactly fun when the whole bike just slides sideways
Well, yeah,
completely.
but you also have a jagged pile of some, like
Rocks.
1x1 cement blocks.
I tried
on
to
both
pick one of those
sides.
up. I'm 52 years old. I'm 210 pounds. I couldn't pick one up.
Yeah, they were heavy.
So no shit. I tried to grab one and just heave-ho it,
Yeah.
just to get it out of the way.
no way to-
So those things are, like you said, 2 foot by 2 foot by 2
Maybe
foot.
2 foot by 2
Right.
foot.
You need a
Solid
lever.
concrete blocks.
Yeah.
And there's a pile of them to the left and a much, much, much bigger pile to the right.
Yep.
And what that is that whole thing is engineered to break all the bones in a human body. So if you crash into that pile, there is not one bone that will not get broken because of the angles that they put the blocks in strategically.
You have a 2 foot area.
I measured it. It was 21 inches.
Yeah, 21 inches.
So 21
to
inches.
Weave your bike.
Shoot the
right
gap.
through.
So when you get shot out between the 2 trees going in, which now has developed a 2 foot hole in it, like a pit that eats your
With
suspension.
a root, with a
4-inch
4-inch
root right in the middle
diameter
of it.
root that that goes across.
But
the
it got-
When you look at the videos that Steve's going to post on this, and you see how close you have to be to the trees, you're going to think like low budget Isle of Man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it was funny because as we started, it was like fast. You'd go into the tunnel of love, and everybody would slow down.
Yes.
But by
absolutely.
the end, when I was chasing you,
No.
we were wide open through it. Like
Oh,
with like
we
an
thought
inch.
it was like the Star Wars trench run. As soon as you'd light into the tunnel of love, you knew that you had the entire tunnel to just be a drag strip.
Right.
And then you had to bust one slight right out to
Right.
catch the perfect line to get out of the
No.
classe du jour.
What you forgot to mention too is
Yeah.
that the tunnel of love to the left is trees,
Right.
and to the right is a 1.5 foot deep rut of death.
You're never coming back.
No,
With
No.
posts
With
every
posts
10
every
feet.
8-10 feet.
Every
Yeah,
8
exactly.
feet to kill you.
Decapitation size
Size
posts,
posts, yep.
every 10 feet.
And then as you'd come out of that and you'd need to slow down
Yes.
for a hard left turn,
Yes.
there was 8 pieces of plywood.
Yes.
So then you
Right.
have no traction.
No
So
traction.
now you're just skidding across plywood.
No,
Well,
but
I
there's
had put-
mud at a 20-degree angle, too.
the mud was so deep from where they pulled out that 1982 Chevy van
Right.
that people were currently having sex in. When they pulled that van across the field, I think they used that skid steer to pull that van out because the van, all I could see was the pumpkin shape from the transaxle for a Chevy had just pulled up about 1.5 acres of dirt. So there were 3 trenches you could lose a Humvee in.
Oh, dude, and I opened the door and sniffed, and it smelled like success. It was terrible.
I like how when we left that van a month ago, when we were like, that van is buried, it's never going to get out, you got to call a Sikorsky. So now the van is 100 feet further away than it used to be with one broken window. I'm honestly surprised we didn't do that job.
So
Because
wait,
that's exactly how we would have done it.
So is your neighbor taking, because it's in his yard now, right?
Oh, it's
Not
his
in my
now
yard
forever.
anymore, so I don't really care. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm just going to call it, that's his forever.
Yeah.
Because it can't ever be anybody else's. Again, possession 9/10 the law.
Right.
He gets it and all the DNA in it and all the chipmunks that are mating in the bottom are all his too.
There's cloning going on in the back of that van on its own right now.
It is a bad scene because whatever it was, it used to be dry and now the window's broken, so it isn't dry anymore. And if you've ever seen that movie Evolution,
it's like the movie
Yeah.
Species.
you'll
Oh, yeah.
know that if you add moisture to a biosphere, shit happens real quick.
I was going to say, at some point, you're going to look in there and there's going to be a whole new species of little people.
That's right.
Launching
That's exactly
shit.
right.
But it's going to be hyper fast. So it'll be like, you'll see the civilizations rise and fall and then,
So you get out of the tunnel of love, you go over those like that angled mud area where the van dragged the thing. You have to make a more than 90-degree turn
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Left.
Yeah.
to the left.
If you only make a 90-degree turn, you're going to be where I like to call the grandstands.
right.
I love the grandstands because you guys are standing around bullshitting, drinking beers
We
and
were
shit,
going.
and
Being pylons.
shooting guns, and I'm like, on your right.
shooting. There's guns going off. People are shooting in
Well,
the middle of
I went to make the left-hand turn to make my left turn, and I see him with the rifle up, and I'm like, I'm not going to drive in front of a loaded gun, so fuck that. So I went
pulled up.
behind him.
My favorite is I'm interviewing Phil about what we're doing for this little video I'm going to put together. And he's like, yeah, so, okay, we got this going on and that's a gunfire. And
So you have to jump over the septic tank.
Yes, yeah.
well, no, but
yeah.
wait, let's talk about going past. So once you're in the grandstand and you got to go past your garage barn thing.
No, but that's you have to go. The grandstand is split. Okay, so
Right.
you can go in
That's
front
true.
of you can go in the shooting range.
Right.
Or you can
You
try
go
to
in
take the
front of
corner
the-
off the garage.
Yeah, or you can go around the back of the grandstand.
but let's talk about that. So
That's the
that,
septic tank right there. So you have to before you hit the garage.
Yeah, you're jumping
over
the
You
septic
got to
septic
clear the
tank.
septic tank
but
first.
then the best part is that the back
oh,
of
you
the,
got air on the septic tank every single time.
It was good, but
Yeah.
here's the crazy part is right when you passed the garage, you were the first one to
Yeah.
do it. You cut kind of like literally a 6-inch kind of groove.
Yep.
And your right peg hit the garage, sorta.
Would dig in. Yeah.
And the left peg, so it was more than a 45-degree angle. It was like a 60-degrry angle of dirt with like a
With
little
roots
thing.
that would grab anything that would touch it. I mean, there were like all it were like old grapevines.
Grapevines,
on the
okay.
ground.
I'm
stretched
convinced
out
that your backyard, that house you bought, is actually Pandora. Like that is not a place on Earth. The animals and the creatures and the flora and fauna there has a mind of its fucking own.
Yeah.
I tried to go trailblazing more than once, and I caught a piece of grapevine that stopped my bike so hard I left it. Right? I looked down and there was a grapevine thicker than my thumb that had stopped a 210-pound man in a 150-pound toy bike.
Yeah.
Stopped us dead in our tracks. And I was like, you motherfucker. So my dumbass grabs it and tries to pull it down. And I realize, no, it's been there for 7,000 years. It's hooked into a woolly mammoth in the side of the hill. It's not going anywhere.
And then in the back, when you guys went down to explore to see if you can get down by the river.
So Johnny McElfresh took it upon himself to dig out the swale all the way down to the bottom of this hill.
no, he didn't. No.
Or did you do that?
No. that was a bad idea.
Well,
He's
his
like,
ramp
"Oh,
was a bad idea
look,
too.
I went
No,
down.
the ramp was cool.
I went
like
down
that.
the washout. I went down to the washout to the lower area. I got down there. You know what there is? The bottom of an entire motorcycle across the top of 3 big rocks. Like, there is more scraping and scratching. You don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to know which way you assholes went. Just look for the trail of scraped rocks. Oh, fuck.
All I know is that
That was the biggest workout down there. I'm telling
I
you.
got my
yeah.
ass kicked.
Dude, all I know is that whatever those plants are, they're animals.
Yeah.
Because like you get near them and you look down and the thing's wrapped around your leg like
Yeah.
7
Oh,
times. And
Oh, you
stays.
were busy having a cigarette, and now you got this thing growing up in your ball sack like poison ivy. And you're like, what the shit happened, and who is this, and what, like, if you set anything still on his property
just gets
for more than
covered.
5 minutes, the property just claims it back. It's like, you're mine now, fuck you. And that's why when you look at that washout, when you go down by the creek by the shit plant, there's just car bumpers and stuff in
Well,
there.
hey, let's
Those
remind-
cars were on 511. They had a flat tire. And the forest claimed them from 200 meters
And
away.
let's remind people
Yeah.
that the stream that's running in the back of his property does come from the ship plant. So I know you do a great job and it's clean water.
I
but
got a
if
mouthful
there
of that
isn't-
stream.
It's like the Toxic Avenger.
Oh, I stuck my foot down one time and I was like, that's a Goodyear 15-inch. Yeah.
That was my ode to Clyde Lewis because I love Clyde Lewis.
Toxic
so.
Adventure,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Toxie's great.
But, I mean, we joke.
Yeah.
But what we have now, thanks to Steve, is we do have one of the most renegade quarter-mile tracks.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've been on my share of quarter-mile ovals. Legit, the Clevelandmoto quarter-mile
It's good.
is a good oval. There's a lot of bad things that
And
can
it's
happen to you.
challenging. Like you definitely are going to improve your riding skills.
I'd say
riding
there's
it.
3 good lines.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's 1 good line and there's 2 really bad lines.
And there's possibilities for expansion.
Right.
Like you could run a loop up to the front and back through the pine trees next to the garage.
Yeah.
You could have a penalty where you'd have to go like to the right, like where we're going through the grandstands. You
Right.
could go to the right past the shipping container
Absolutely.
and around that way.
Yep. That's a good penalty.
That's the shipping container.
Oh, I love the fact that there's already a chicane built into it. So when you're in the straight after turn 1, you're
Right.
going down the straightaway towards where the not a ramp is now, the jump.
Right. Yep.
Where that is, there's a chicane. So if you choose poorly, you have to face 3 pine trees.
Right. And we
Yeah.
didn't even discuss the fact that when you ride it the opposite way, it's fun as fuck too.
It's fun as
It's
fuck,
different,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
John's not a ramp.
Right.
One way is good. The other way
going at it anti-clockwise
is okay.
is totally okay.
Going
at it clockwise,
and it throws you into a tree.
it literally was, why the fuck did you do that? I saw Sleepy. He was going at it the way you're supposed to.
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful. You catch a
just
little bit of
run,
air.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
very gradual. You land, you chew up your suspension, your left butt cheek hurts, maybe, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Cool. I did that 15 times.
Right. I chased you. Oh yeah, right there.
Go the other way, though, just once. Hit it at even half the speed you did on the way the other way,
Right.
and you have 7 feet of air underneath you, and your landing zone is an 18-inch pine.
Yeah, it is. Because the thing is
It's a
that
particularly scratchy 18-inch
Well,
pine.
the
But
not a
those, are,
ramp.
those are soft pines, though.
right,
No,
but not a,
Kromke pulled up to one of them. His visor was all fogged up because he's wearing a Biltwell with a bubble shield on it. I look at him, and he is literally front tire against a tree. He chickened out at the last possible second. And we passed him because I thought maybe
I
he...
couldn't see. I didn't mean to go that
I thought
way.
maybe
I
he died in
realized I
upright
went the wrong
position.
way and tried to turn out.
Well, he bails out of the jump. He bails out of the jump, and his tire's against this 18-inch pine tree. And his tire's against this tree, and I look over, and I can't see him. I just see a vapor. I thought he was doing bong rips in his helmet because there was no human eyes behind his face at all. It was just fog.
I don't know how you
But
rode.
I've still got both my ears.
Yeah, that's true. I've got a big chunk out of my right ear now. But I looked back, and I was like, well, I guess he's out of the running because
Right.
he can't see shit. He looked like one of the creatures in Hellboy. Like, there was no visibility in his world. So, anywho,
That's great.
yeah, but it is a silly place. You think we're all adults, right?
Oh no.
You think we're all adults, and it's just it. So, but I do want to give a shout out while we're talking about this cool shit, because our friend Carl has this thing called thespeedfarm.com. Thespeedfarm.com. And so thespeedfarm.com, this guy is a legit American, like, pro motocross racer. And he has got many, many acres in Worcester. And what he's done is he has created a training center for young and old, skilled and unskilled, gifted and not.
And less than.
Less
Right.
than gifted.
Yes. And so anyway, but he hosts these things, and we'll pull it up on the big screen, and we'll make a little note. But this is down in Worcester, Ohio.
Open ride day.
Open ride day, 30 fucking doll hairs, right? So 30 Kopecks, 30 Freedom units, right? And so what he's got is he's got this big ass piece of property, and he lets you just rip. And all of him, what's really funny is all of him and these other dudes that are like legit know their shit racers are just 100% digging on the pit bikes. And so they're digging on the pit bikes and they're having a blast. They're selling some merch too. You can buy your t-shirts and your sex pants and whatever it is you need for the off-road events. But they do legit. You were wearing those.
I did.
What the fuck is with that, man?
They don't rip.
No, I get that, but why
Yeah.
do they have to be that color?
Oh, because they were on sale when the motorcycle show
All right.
used to sell stuff for
Nobody was
cheap.
buying those.
Yeah, no, there was that whole set. I got a shirt.
There are
pants.
unicorns looking at that shit going, Camaro.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hey,
That-
I am a function over form kind
Yeah,
of guy, and back when the motorcycle show had deals, right?
Yeah, I know the deals.
Yeah,
Right,
like
right.
I got the pants, XSS or X, whatever. They're decent. They're European, but
Right.
they're the pants, the shirt, and gloves for like $28.
Right.
You can't. I mean, like
No, I can't argue. No,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong.
no, but I did look like a
Right.
unicorn that was looking for sex.
Every time you go past a tree, no shit, sparkles would come out of you. It was the greatest thing. Like anytime you go past a tree, I'd hear that little Super Mario noise.
Ding!
Oh, I
And
thought it was
sparkles
like
would
the
come
more
out.
you know.
Yeah, a big rainbow.
Yeah.
3 stars.
Just a straight after school special.
Yeah,
It's
that was
okay
it.
if you're gay.
Well, again, you were the vision of color in our otherwise muddy attire.
I heard that bright colors is slimming.
It
So
is.
that's-
It is exactly it. Honestly, all of us looked like we had a well-trained hemorrhoid that we were riding around the track.
I do like a couple of the pictures that have been circulating.
Yes.
The bike is enveloped by our asses.
Oh, by far. Yeah.
There's not a bike sticking out anywhere.
Wait.
There's 1 inch of fender in the back
Yes.
and handlebars.
That's exactly it. Yeah. We're going to have to buy girthier bikes. We don't need any more speed. We just need more size.
I just like when McElfresh got on his bike at this side, it was like, whoa.
He got on the bike and the bike was like, this isn't a team sport. This isn't Bears on Wheels, you dick. Right? I mean, yeah, for real. So anyway, this is the Speed Farm. They're in Worcester, Ohio. And like if you have been bitten by your stimulus check and if Uncle Joe has said you need to go buy a dirt bike because you have some money in your pocket. Buy that dirt bike. Come in and buy one of our SSR 125s. Here is a testimonial. I'm a 6'1", 210-pound, lightly shaved gorilla. I couldn't kill that thing.
None of us did.
And I couldn't kill it. And the stuff that we did, and I bounced it off of a few trees.
Oh, yeah.
I did horrible things to that bike. And it survives to this day. And we did an oil change and we adjusted the chain and it's all fine.
And I want to explain, or I want to ask you guys something, and we can explain this to the listeners.
Yeah.
So, I've had big dirt bikes. I've had my adventure bikes. You're out on gravel, and you're cautious, and you're doing all this. Somehow, a smaller bike, and you're not going any slower. You're still going 40 miles an hour. There's no fear. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're completely sideways. The back wheel is 45 degrees from the front wheel. You're spitting dirt out the back.
It's amazing because I started out really slowly, like just going around, like easing through like the debris field and like the jagged metal and the glass and the stones and the barbed wire
At one
fence.
point
Because
I
on the
looked down-
one side there's a barbed wire fence running along
I looked
the.
down, I saw an actual anchor. And you're nowhere near the lake. Why is there an anchor?
I have no
on your
idea.
property?
There was
You're
so
nowhere
much
near the lake.
odd debris in that yard. So, but then you have one beer. And all of a sudden, you get whiskey throttle, and you're riding that thing like you're the best motocross rider in the world.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And your speed goes up and up and up and up and up, and it's like it's so much fun. Those
It is.
SSRs are
props to
more
their-
fun than any other bike I've ever had.
Me too. And props to them for the tires don't suck. Those
the
tires,
tires don't suck.
those tires handled terrain that they should not have
No, and
handled.
I looked and I checked and I made sure those tires are all like legit. Those are straight up. Those aren't fucking around. Those are race team. I looked. Those are branded Team Fling Poos. So We were flinging some poop.
Well, but nobody lost a knob with
They
all
come in
the.
black and brown.
Yeah. It's coming black and brown.
No, but it's impressed. Seriously, like with the
No
shit that we
knobs
threw
came
at
off.
them, they should have lost knobs. They should have. Like, they didn't. They held.
That is a 12-inch tire
Yeah.
moving however many horsepower at 100% aggression, trying to move me, or more importantly, McElfresh. How that thing didn't lose 100% of its knobs up the center line
Right.
on launch number one, I don't know.
And also, like when you first see him, like you get in your head, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna mod it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And then you ride it, and you're like, I had never used fourth gear. Like,
Oh no!
you know what I mean?
no!
Like there's,
I got really good at doing the whole track in third.
Yeah.
So I got really good at doing the whole track in third. The last turn 4
Yep.
coming into the grandstands.
Maybe a
So
second.
turn 4 and coming down to the grandstands, I learned that you kind of had to go to second.
Yeah.
Unless you were going to hang her real wide.
Right.
And there were a couple of times when you had the drone going where I was like, I'm going to make this look good.
oh, you did too.
And I hung it out real wide and got my foot out real wide and just let the bike dig. Just fed the
Oh, yeah.
tire. And I was like, I'm going to make this work in third. But then you realize you clear the septic tank.
and then you got problems.
But the problem is you land after the septic tank and you are literally touching the garage.
Right.
So
Like-
the options are hit the garage or hit the F800 tractor.
right.
Which can't be moved. No. And I went onto the tractor and I turned the wheels.
Yeah.
I grabbed the wheel and I turned the tires on the tractor so that they would go with the collision. So that when I hit the tractor, at least the tractor would roll.
Right.
I mean, a 4,000-pound tractor, 5,000-pound tractor with the flattest tire on planet Earth.
Right.
With implements on it that belong on a military vehicle. It's the biggest backhoe I'd ever seen in my life on one of the most respectable, normal, primitive Amish tractors with a fucking digger on the back that should legit only ever go on something from space.
But you
Right.
got to point out that Hoffert spent quite a bit of time cleaning up the track. He got the sailboat out of the way.
We did move. The
We
sailboat got
the
moved.
sailboat
right?
out of the way.
The trailer full of miscellaneous lawn tractors got
The
moved.
World War II air compressor was out of the way.
Out of the World War II bomber air tanks.
So don't think this is just some shit track
The
in the
next
back
time
of
we
some
go out
guy's
there,
property.
the next time we go out there, the two missions are going to be to move 400 cinder blocks into a respectable fire pit because we never did build the fire this
No, we
week.
never got the fire
We
going.
never built the
No,
fire.
an
'cause
amphitheater.
were
We
too
need to
busy.
make it like an amphitheater.
No, we need to move those goddamn cement blocks back there in turn 3.
Yeah.
So because
Yeah,
turn
no, I'm saying,
three's-
but make it
yeah.
into an amphitheater.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So you can have a fire and then sit against the wall and have the heat hit you.
My hernia surgery is not old enough to lift any of those cement blocks.
But you
have
know what
a
else?
tractor?
In the very back,
Yeah.
before you go down to that thing,
Yeah.
there's an opportunity to have a fucking dope berm though. Like
Oh, yeah,
as you
yeah,
go
we could
down
build
there
a
and
good
get a
berm in
big
there.
berm
Yeah.
and come out of that into the love of the tunnel.
Where you mean where
above.
Chris crashed on Oscar's bike? I love how the only bike that straight up gets crashed is the bike of the guy who's not there.
There, right.
So Oscar's bike is sitting there just gleaming in the sun like a Chinese KTM
Well, he
replica.
was riding my bike all day, but then he took Oscar's bike on one lap and crashed it
2 laps.
2 laps.
I look back there and Chris is on the ground and I was like, I think he's got it.
Where's the
I
black
knew
bike?
something
I think
happened
we
when
get
he
this one back.
disappeared that time.
Oh, the black bike is still pristine though,
The
right?
black
Yeah.
bike's the clean. No, the black bike is still out there. I brought my bike home because we needed to do some paperwork on my bike. So anyway, but for reals, like not joking around, Oscar's bike was sitting there as an obstacle to the rest of us. You'd come around the infield and try not to hit the other brand new bikes. And it was good for his videos because the background always looked great because there's always bikes in the
Thanks,
shot. But people who are paying attention will be like, well, those bikes never went anywhere until you took Oscar's out and broke it in for him.
Literally.
There you go.
Literally broke it in for him.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, if there's going to be a crash, well done,
The,
Chris.
the torquiness of that 125 is amazing
It is.
compared to like the Monkey.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Monkey has, a little power down low, and then it just like it
Peters out.
runs out of lung. That thing cranks up to red line instantly. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, and then if you're lugging it, it just pulls.
There is no rev
mean,
limiter. It just literally gets to the point where it just won't pull anymore.
And
The
I
bike's
like-
low.
But it
Yeah.
pulls from such a low speed
Yeah.
all the way to red line. I mean, that is an
Well,
excellent motor.
If
And
we're
I
not
like-
careful, we might accidentally sell some SSR 125s, which is not our intention.
No.
For the record, we didn't do this to sell SSR 125s. We tried the SSR 110 I have
We
SSR.
dug ourselves into a hole into the mud.
I have
We just-
SSRs here at the shop because we tried a lot of the different Chinese bikes. We tested a bunch of them, and the SSRs were good. So that's fine, and we can work on them, and they're easy to get parts for. And it's of the Chinese bikes, it's by far the most cromulent. The 110 was just not appropriate for Steve's property. The 125 is like the correct amount of stupid.
Of hooligan. It's crazy. And you know what's really cool about it is like the Japanese bikes, they're built well, the quality's there and stuff, but the Japanese bikes are like, we must be quiet and sensible and cool.
Right.
The Chinese bikes are like, fuck it, loud as possible,
Well,
as stupid as possible.
So the regular 110, when you fire it up, it's like tuk, 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 tuk. It's like a Trail 90 or whatever. It's very respectable. And you're like, okay, tuk, 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 and you ride it around, you're like, great. And then you crack the cork on, because these are the 125 Deluxes. They're a little bit better.
But just look at the butthole on them.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, so these are the Deluxe. We spent an extra couple of bucks on these to get the performance pipe.
Yeah.
So they came from the factory with the performance pipe already on them. But when you start these things, it's like, oh shit.
It's like a CRF 250.
Well, even Dan's video that Dan shot when you and I are playing around and we're chasing each other, you hear the noise go by and you're like, I think that was a 500.
Yeah, right.
I think that was a 500 thumper going by.
Well, when we're all going, when we got everybody going, it sounded like I was at a fucking motocross track. Like it was fucking full on. I'm
it
like,
is straight up four-stroke noises for days.
Yeah.
It's really fun. So we were having a good time.
So as far as dumping Oscar's bike, though, I was riding around on that, and down at that back turn, I was starting to drift a little going around there. And I was starting to develop some confidence, 2 and 3 and 4 laps.
Oh, that'll get you.
And the thing I couldn't be doing was putting down either of my legs.
Oh, okay.
Because I've got no ACLs in either
No,
knee.
exactly.
So I would just tear the whole leg right off. So I thought, well, I'm doing pretty good without putting that leg down. And then there's a little bit extra throttle, and whoop, where'd that back end go? So,
well, you pointed something out. So I was throwing the leg out on the anti-clockwise way, right? And my left leg's out. I'm doing great and stuff. And I forgot how bad my right knee is. I've had a couple of operations.
Oh, yeah, we know how bad your right knee is because the first day at the camp, you just walked out the door and you were a pile of death on the ground. I thought you were dead. You fell right down, and your wife's like, "Oh, he does that all the time."
Oh, he does that all the time.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
Yeah, just stick that needle in his heart and get him going again.
hang some lactated ringers.
But dude, I totally forgot about it because I was having so much fun. So I was going that way, and I got the leg out. I'm like, and then I go to the right, and it just took one bump to jar my knee, and I think I was louder than the bike. I was like, ah! I was like, not doing that again.
Doing that ever again.
Oh, that was terrible.
I did make the mistake in turn 1.
Uh-huh.
So in turn 1, taking the wide line after the garage, I made the mistake. I forgot that I was riding a mini bike, and I forgot the first rule of motocross is 1, wear good boots.
Right.
Second rule, which I had. Second rule is keep your toes in.
Oh, yeah.
So I made the mistake. I'd gotten sloppy. It was lap 700. So I'd gotten sloppy and my feet had splayed out. So my feet got a little wide, and I was catching that berm just right.
Yeah, because it started to build.
Oh, we made a good little berm.
That was a pretty good berm.
You could dig in.
Phil,
nice.
you have some splaying to do.
Well, I got some splaining to do. And so I was taking that berm, and I was just kind of like, I knew it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't need to throw my leg out anymore. The tires are doing great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, we are giving an awful lot of confidence to a 12-inch and a 14-inch tire.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm going to remind you, I have an 18 and a 21 on the bike I'm used to riding in the dirt.
Right.
Not this toy shit, right?
Right.
And so
The toy shit's awesome.
I
though.
I let my toes go wide
Yeah.
because I was getting lazy. Well, turn 1, the ground reached up, grabbed my left foot and said, this should be pointing the other way. And then stuck it under my motorcycle. So it turned my foot around backwards and stuck it under my motorcycle. Fortunately, I had a good boot on. And the pain was so intense that I just drove into that rose bush. And it turns out rose bushes
Have thorns.
suck. Fuck
don't-
roses. Roses are bullshit.
You don't think about your leg anymore because of the rose.
I had like
400
legit.
perforations in your skin.
No, I don't know why I had a fucking rose was trying to rip my right eyelid off. Like a rose thorn thing. And again, fuck your roses because there's no flowers.
I
It's
hate
just
those
thorns.
things. No, they're wild roses. They're horrible.
There's no flowers. What the kind of deal is that? If you're going to have all this concertina wire in your backyard. There should be a fucking flower attached to it, even in March
Or a yellow
whatever.
flag or some
Anyway,
goddamn-
a yellow flag. So I lost my shit from getting my leg whipped around backwards, drove right into the thorn bush, had to argue with the thing to get my jacket back and my glove back and my hat back, got it all back, minor amount of blood loss, and then I was like, oh, wait, my leg. And it was one of those things where I just had to stand there for a while.
Yeah.
And I stood there for a while and I was like, well, it's clearly not broken. And it didn't point right to begin with because that's the one I blew up in Denver. So I was like, you know what? What's the worst thing that can happen? Let's go out. Because I didn't break actual titanium because my leg's full of titanium. Let's fucking go out and do it again. So I went out and 2 more laps. I felt great. So 2 more laps, I walked it off, so to speak.
I like, if you watch kids like at Mid-Ohio
Yeah.
riding these things, right? And they're doing the barrel. They'll do 700 laps. They get off. They're laughing, slapping dicks, high fives,
Yeah.
all that.
Oh, yeah, baby.
We did like 4 laps. Everybody gets off the bike, and we're like,
I knew he had the camera on because I'm a whore for the camera. So I knew he had the camera on his helmet. So I was like, oh shit, he's behind me. So because he's fast. Don't let anybody fuck around.
No,
Sleepy Sleepy is not
you
fucking
two-
around.
But no, you two by
Eh,
far are
I'm pretty sure Sleepy can
unbelievable.
pass.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
No,
Sleepy can
no,
pass me
no,
anytime he wants to.
no.
So with a camera on his head, and so I look back over my shoulder and I see just this camera bobbing around, right? So I'm like, oh shit, I got to make this look good. So I did like the Wild World of Sports stuff and your rooster tail a little bit more and take the corner a little more aggressive.
oh, it was good. It was like, whoa.
we were having some fun.
Yeah.
And so we're having some fun, but I was like, oh man, I was out of gas 3 laps ago. But now the camera's there, so I really got to let her go. And of course, what did I tell Chris? Oh, well, that's okay. I don't have my helmet. I'm going to go easy.
Yeah, that lasted.
Now, no shit, right? There's a reason.
Well,
There's
let's
a
talk
reason.
about this. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
You weren't stupid. You had
6 helmets? 7
Six-
helmets?
7
They're all sitting
helmets
right there.
ready to go.
I bought you all helmets.
Yeah.
Not shitty helmets.
No.
Real, legit AFX proper helmets.
Right.
Are sitting right there.
Yep.
Like legit motocross
And they were
helmets.
sitting there on the day that
And I forgot to bring them because I was so excited about putting 6 bikes in the back of 1 pickup truck. I was taking pictures of the bikes in the back of the truck like I'm a hero.
Yeah.
And I fucked off to your place, all proud as shit, showing up with my coffee and, snacks. And I'm like unloading. I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot 7 helmets. And so we tried to get Chris to do it, but he doesn't check text messages because it's a tool of the devil, whatever. Or voicemails because, if Marjorie doesn't connect him at, 1 Wisconsin 480, he doesn't want to pick up the phone. Garfield 12323. I'd like some windows or something. So we tried reaching him on everything short of a smoke signal. Renee's like hanging around at the shop. She's like, I texted him. I was like, well, I called him and I left a voicemail. And then I also texted him. And I sent up something on his Jitterbug. And I hit him at his AOL account. And we got him on the alt dot old bastard,
Wait
I
a minute.
send up.
Fuck you. Before I
I
left the
pinged him.
house-
I pinged him on MySpace at 1-800-MyJanus.
So before I left the house, I checked my shit, and Renee had called and she said, or had left a text.
Yeah.
Did you pick up your helmets for Oberlin? I'm thinking, I have my helmet in my
Right.
the back of my car, right?
Right. Yeah.
But then I called her. I said, "What's this all about?" She says, "Phil wants you to get the helmets."
Right.
Okay, I'll come over and get them.
Right.
Well, I'm at home.
Yeah. She'd already gone home because it was Sunday.
Because I thought
Yes,
she'd
it
say,
was
"Well, I'll
Sunday.
just meet you up there in 5 minutes," because
Yeah.
she's only 5 minutes away.
Right.
But she said, "No, fuck everybody out
No,
there."
no, she came in on her day off to sell
I
a
know,
bike.
I know. I'm
so
pulling
right.
your leg.
No, it's for real. She would have had to leave her fucking African gray parrot, and she's queer for that anyway. So it's that wasn't going to happen. But no, I mean, like legit. I was being stupid human tricks with no helmet on, but that's not the first time. Anybody who knows me knows that.
but we had boots and we had gloves and we had jackets
and we had liquor and I had cigarettes and we were good to go.
Yeah, it was definitely
and I had a bottle full of painkillers if things got weird.
Yeah.
We're good to go. We were fine. We were living the best life we could.
that was
We were like a bunch of 50-year-old guys pretending we were 11.
yeah. But I was
cool.
also completely okay with not coming out of that day alive. Like that was totally okay with what I was having so much fun.
Halfway through the day, he hands me a Browning pellet gun that no shit was like, 780 feet per second.
Right.
Like straight up, not the kind of pellet gun you give a child ever.
No.
This is a kind of pellet gun that kills people and they don't know why they died.
It's fast enough that when you hit a can, it doesn't move. It just goes directly through it.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I put out a cigarette. I put down my again, prop for Moto Go brewing, Moto Go beer. I put down my Moto Go. I go over and I grab your pellet gun and I crank that bad boy down. And like, you know how it is when you see that scene from the Millennium Falcon and it comes out of hyperspace? My whole world just went, and I was like, I'm shooting now. And I got to sit there and I was like, I fired 2 rounds offhand. And I realized that my whole body was full of energy and vitality and love. And I couldn't fire because my heart was so happy that I couldn't engage a firearm.
I still like the fact that the shooting area was on the outside of the track.
Why was the shooting area not on the infield?
I don't know.
That would make no sense.
Because it was
shot from the infield.
Why did we have to
through the
shoot
track.
across the front straight
Right.
to shoot into the target
So
zone?
it was a little disconcerting when you're kicking around
Yeah,
turn
and you
3
see a
and you're
guy
full
literally-
throttle and there's Dan. And you're like,
Port arms.
that's originally why I took the other way.
Yeah, because you're literally riding onto an open range.
Right.
And in the military, they told us not to do that on any vehicle.
If you pulled up a little
That's how
high
you lose
over
Bradleys.
the cinder blocks, that bullet would cross the track twice.
Exactly. So
So that was a scrap metal pile.
for people who are casual listeners, we have a problem in our group. We're a drinking club with a gun and motorcycle problem, and we always have been from day one. And we're just dumb for the stuff that made 14-year-olds super excited. We're just getting into.
Well, we are now 14-year-olds that have grown up and have nobody to tell us not to do these things.
I'm thinking that there's some really exciting Pinewood Derby adventures coming our way. So no, not really. But anyway,
A rocket-powered one, you know.
All I
There
can
you go.
say is that the camaraderie
yeah.
that I feel when we were doing that is like beyond anything.
Yeah, that was
like,
good.
It's beyond anything imaginable.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's so stupid.
And I'm just like, usually, for some reason, for the last few years, we always come up with this shit in October.
Yeah.
And we do it once, and then it's like, fuck, now
Right.
it's winter.
Right.
But we figured this shit out in
It's
March.
a good time.
And
We
now
got a whole
we're moving in.
summer.
Yeah, we have a whole year
Yeah.
to do this
Oh, we
stuff.
have an entire year to be in traction.
Yeah.
So for the record, so you guys know earlier on, I broke the news to the cult here that I was going to sell my Eldorado. So as Chris Smith buys a California 1400 last year,
Right.
and we're all, obviously, we know he got the deal of the century. Nobody will ever get a better deal on a California than he did.
No.
We're not even allowed to broadcast what he paid for it out of fairness to the universe.
And the guy that sold it.
And the guy who sold it
I
to you.
think
Exactly.
I think you could destroy the whole bell curve of that motorcycle.
Exactly, right. Because there is, and I'll legit say it, I'm not afraid to say it, there is nothing wrong with the Moto Guzzi 1400. It's an amazing bike.
It is amazing.
It's amazing.
You wrote it, right?
So
I love it.
I have casually had my Eldorado 1400 listed for sale, mostly just because we are a dealership, and at the end of the day, it looks better if we're actually trying to sell things than us being a way to launder incredibly huge amounts of cash from our, our child endorphin ring in the basement that we have going on. You didn't know about the basement at Clevelandmoto?
What?
Oh yeah, we get kids strung
Oh,
up
yeah,
down
yeah,
there. Yeah,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
getting adrenochrome and shit out of them. It's great. So that's how we're actually. But this is all just a front. So straight up, I finally I posted a picture of my Eldorado on our website with the price was the MSRP that it was, but I added a ton of cool shit to it, and of course because it's my bike, it never gets ridden. And somebody finally was like, I should buy that bike. So the guy wants to buy my bike, and he eventually, made the mistake of starting to listen to this podcast. He's been kicked out of 3 Masonic orders in a church group right now, and he's developed a strange obsession for spandex. We can't figure out why. And apparently Oscar's going over to his house next weekend. So if you look at the screen, he's selling or trying to lose himself of a Springer. So Springers, just for people who aren't hip to what Springers are, is they're a Harley Davidson Softail, which is a motorcycle that looks like a hardtail, so they called it a Softail. And 97 other bad Harley decisions. But the interesting part about a Springer is all happens in the first 24 inches. That's what she said. And this front of this motorcycle is the same Springer architecture that happened in 1836 when they built the first Harley Davidson. And it hasn't moved forward one blonde one since they came up with it. But I am somehow strangely attracted to it. This one is that era of Springer where all of the things were painted black. There's no chrome on this bike, not much chrome at least.
See, I like that though.
I do too.
I like that bike.
I do that
It's a nice looking bike.
And it does have the chunky front wheel, so it doesn't have the pizza cutter 21-inch front wheel on it. It's got the chubby front tire, which I think would look good with a circle World War II era Firestone car tire on there, zigzag pattern.
The Celtic.
It does have the fucking flames on the seat, which tells me I only want to do one thing, and that is guzzle. I want to be at the truck stop right now, meeting guys from strange places in the back of Peterbilt's. Right? No, I don't like flames stitched into seats. We talked about this earlier. I don't like anything stitched into a seat. If you're doing it for the benefit of my asshole, you're wasting your time. But it does have an OEM seat that has one concho on each side and some studs to let you know it's cowboy. That's not bad. That's not it. That's not as
That
bad.
looks like almost like the way the Mustang seats are made.
It looks like a Mustang seat, sure. And then he took off these big, nice saddlebags and put on that little angle bag on the back that has just enough fringe on the bottom to let you know that you're a Muppet.
Well, that's what is that? That's static electricity discharge.
It is. It distributes the static electricity, exactly.
But you do have the big bags, though. I mean, it comes with the big bags, too.
It comes with the big bags. It comes with a very thick owner's manual. A service manual. So the only thing I hate about this bike is I can't stand those fucking handlebars. And this has got those giant T-bars that were extremely cool for guys that... and the Kuryakin grips that have the little rubber bits coming through them.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Sons of Anarchy,
these are the bars, right?
Yeah.
These are the bars, and they're like, okay, rather than doing a traditional vintage style motorcycle bar, you do two somewhat vertical bars that come into a giant broom handle. And every other motorcycle handlebar in the world is 7/8 of an inch in diameter. Harley Davidsons are now 7 inches in diameter. If you've ever had to get into animal husbandry into horses, if you've ever had to extricate semen samples from bulls, then you'll know what it's like to ride this bike. This is exactly it. You can take two samples from two bulls at the same time if you can ride this motorcycle. It's like a downhill skier. You're just poling both at the same time. But anywho, looking at it in retrospect, I would change the handlebars because I don't need that. The flames are remarkably tasteful.
Oh, I do like those.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Get out of here, Steve. You like those flames?
Not I.
I don't think they're like the in-your-face flames.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, I like them. I was shocked that you do.
No, I like them because they're not in your face.
Okay,
Like,
yeah. They're the very
I would
subtle...
put a pair of, like an Oxbow.
They're the very subtle 50s street rod flames.
And
And
it looks like something Kevin would do.
it does look very... I got to say, it's understated, which is what I like. So it's got Screaming Eagle jugs and heads on it and everything else, which does mean that this motor probably... Bless their dear little hearts.
Oh, it's got the supercharger, the Kuryakin supercharger.
I'm sorry, that's an air charger.
Yeah, it has. Yeah,
It has two fake flappy bits.
But they do move.
They do move.
Yeah,
They're articulated.
Yeah.
And this is the venerable Twin Cam 88, which if you've ever listened to our podcast will know. But the good news is I'm looking at it, and what does it have? These giant Screaming Eagle cylinders on it, and that big old CNC ported, which I think is hilarious. But that tells me that I bet you that the problem with the timing cam chain has been addressed already.
Oh, yeah.
So I bet you this bike has got the Twin Cam 88 timing cam chain problem has been unfuckered.
The 2-in-1 megaphone is nice.
I
too.
like the pipe.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk to this guy about maybe giving him some trade-in credit on this thing, as opposed to just giving him cash. I love how they've gone out of their way to make the gas caps black, right?
It has LEDs.
But that's because these are the performance machine or whatever they are, you know, the hot rod shit. But the left thing that is normally for old people, that's where the oil goes in the left part of the gas tank, and the right part of the gas tank is where the gas goes. But on modernish Harley Davidsons, the left is where the gas gauge is. Don't twist that one. And the right is where the gasoline goes. If you grab that thing on the left and give it a honk and twist to the left, you just paid for it.
See, but the flames. See, what I like about the flames.
Yeah.
Look at. It's like a fade.
It's a fade. It's a 50s. It's
nice.
a proper 50s
It's a very
fade.
nice.
Right. I
Yeah,
agree.
like-
but all the spray paint that they did to make this part not chrome is starting to go away. So, this bike has been, strategically or tactically
ridden, though.
de-chromed. Yeah, it's got some miles on it. It looks like 37,000 miles. Yeah, 37,000 miles. So, but I don't hate it. I can fix all the things that I think are personally wrong with it that he loves dearly.
It's going to look good with TCK 80s on it.
TKC 80s. Fucking dude. TKC 80s on everything. Nothing makes the world go round like a bunch of knobby tires, right?
Well, they have the bagger races, so at the Clevelandmoto Hoffert quarter mile.
Man. No dice. There's no way in hell.
So I still think of like an ox boat, like those. Not the ones like this.
No, the beach cruiser.
Not-
Like
yeah.
The beach
yeah,
cruiser
yeah,
bars
Yeah.
would look good on that.
The only thing that's wrong with this bike are the handlebars. And the handlebars are literally Uncle Jimmy just got out of jail. That's all those handlebars scream to me is I don't pay child support. So straight up, that seat and those handlebars got to go. But the good news is people will wave to me on my way to work again.
That bike reminds me, there was a comedian that told this thing about NBA jeans. You know what NBA jeans
No.
are? So in the middle 90s, a company came out and all the hip hop dudes were wearing them, and they had all the NBA teams all over them, and they were cool for exactly like 4 months.
Okay.
So he said in 2016 or 20 or whatever.
I was going to say this sounds like Zubaz, but years
Yeah.
later, right?
So he's like, if you see a dude in 2020 wearing
Right.
NBA jeans,
Yeah.
that motherfucker just got out of jail.
He's just
from
come out of jail.
1996.
He's come out of a 10-year stretch, and this is what he came in with them. I don't know if you guys have seen the Blues Brothers, but it's like one condom used.
Yeah, right.
And he's got it on his pen.
On his pen. Frank Oz, by the way, that actor that's doing that is the director of the movie.
Oh, really?
Oh, the guy who's the
I didn't
prison.
know that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Yep. So all right. So kick ass. So anyway, back to the way we were. So and did you notice that the mirrors are held on by flames? That's got to go. So for me, flames and chrome skulls are equal. Like, so the shop rule here has always been the number of skulls on your bike is directly proportionate to the number of prison cock you want in your butt at any time. So be careful about how you use skulls.
Well, can you go back to the main picture of the bike? I want to see if there's a gremlin bell on it.
Oh, there's 100 gremlin bells under this thing. No, there aren't. There's probably one, but it's probably really nice. I hate gremlin bells too. I like the way it has the red gear shifter. So he's taken the heel off of the heel toe by the looks of it. So he's just got the toe shifter, but then he's got like that glitter, 1970s glitter thing. So he's got one thing on there that's like legit lowbrow customs chopper. And then the rest of it is kind of like Orange County meets
That shifter,
HOG.
those were the handles on my banana bike.
That's what I'm saying. That's where that shit came
yeah.
from. The
What
red
is-
glitter stuff. Yeah.
What is that little container? Is that an oil catch?
That's an oil catch can.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, if you look, that's actually the filter. So that's the spin-on filter.
Okay.
So that's an oil filter relocation kit. So now you can use spin-on filters, and it moves them out of the way. And then there should be a commensurate oil cooler somewhere. But anyway, it doesn't matter. That's all good news because that all speaks to the fact that it no longer has the factory cam chain tensioners in it, which means this motor is no longer Velveeta, that you can actually enjoy it. So that's cool. So, I mean, I can unfuck this bike. I mean, or I can just fuck it my personal way. I like the fact it's got little baby bikini fairing there in front of that Mustang seat.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
at some point somebody was like, oh, let's put a fairing on there. So, I mean, this bike has had a couple of different personalities, which is respectable. Nothing wrong with that. I was trying to look around in his blast radius to see about what other stuff is there. And there's like some, I can't figure out what's on the left, whether that's a helmet or hard cases up there by that Craftsman flat blade screwdriver. See that on the left-hand side? There's a Craftsman flat blade screwdriver. And then I can't tell whether those are top
That's
cases.
The back of a helmet there.
Yeah, that looks like that.
People that own this bike don't own helmets.
Well, they do. That's a leather-covered helmet.
Is it really?
And then
Okay.
if you look, I think the thing on the bottom is fingerless gloves.
Oh, there's some chaps in the picture then too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So he was ready to go.
I don't know. There's bottled water in the picture. I think that a person like this would only drink Mountain Dew.
Zoom in on that. So what's that?
What's in the garage? Well, there's another motorcycle in his garage with white wall tires. I think, and that's a Japanese bike. Looks like a Shadow. That's a Shadow back there. So there's a Honda Shadow in there. Probably an ACE. Yeah. Yeah. An American Curmudgeon edition. Yeah. That's an ACE. And there is a full face helmet with a bunch of stripes on it and tribal artwork. So yeah, there's something in the background. I love when you look at shit for sale and you look at all the stuff in the background and you're like, oh wow, the guy's into Bayliner boats.
Yeah.
Okay. He's not afraid to spend real money. Oh wait, it's a Bayliner.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is afraid to spend real money.
I like when they wash the bike and like they leave it there and they dry it, but the ground's wet.
Yeah.
But then you see the rainbow pattern.
Yeah, the rainbow pattern, so you can see that bike's been leaking oil for 9 months. Yeah. Yep. I get that. Yeah, I totally get that. So if you open up the side case and there's like literally, you know.
Look at the yard. I want to see what.
Oh, you're looking at his yard now? Oh, you're a fucking pervert. His neighbor owns a Jeep. So, but anyway, back to that. But when you buy bikes, you do have to look around. Like when somebody sends you a picture, you'd be foolish not to pay attention. It's good situational awareness, you know? Apparently his wife is a D cup. Okay, she's got her laundry out. She didn't tell me not to look. But anyway, that's it. Go figure. But so we'll see if this happens. If it does happen, it's not the worst thing. I mean, I once traded a guy that was a straight up Sons of Jesus biker with all kinds of cool machined like Christ symbols and stuff and runes all over his Sportster 1200. I traded him that for a Bajaj.
Nice.
Back in 2002.
Good
If
trade.
you're not familiar, a Bajaj was an Indian-made replica of a Vespa that had a 4-stroke motor that had in the neighborhood of 3 horsepower. And we made a performance pipe out of it that wouldn't let you ride at the front of the pack anywhere. So anytime anybody heard this pipe coming, they'd be like, okay, fuck you, you're going to go at the back. Like sidecars and hearses are at the way back, right? And then Bajaj POC pipes. Like that's where that shit goes. So that's cool. Let's see, is there anything else?
Do we have any listener email?
I'm so glad you asked because yes, we do. Yes, we do have some listener email. Yeah, that was great. I'm gonna
Can we call
try to
Rand
work my
sometime?
order. Can we call Rand? You can call Rand. I mean, I'm not saying you can't call Rand. I'm just saying that it's better when Rand calls us.
I know. Why doesn't he call us right now?
Probably because right now where he is, it's still lunchtime. That's it. So our Patreon has been on fuego. God bless our guys. I don't know what happened, but somebody lit a fire under our Patreon account.
Well
Whether
done.
they found out that the Patreon money they had donated had finally bought something.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans,
Yeah.
right? And we are doing shenanigans on your behalf.
Right.
So if you donated money to us, the reason my butthole hurts is because of your $10 donation. And honestly, that's like throwing balls to sink somebody in a drunk tank. I would give $10 to make Steve's butt hurt.
Oh, it does hurt. I think everybody's ass hurts after that ride.
Dude, I'm telling you, within a couple of weeks, you're going to see sheepskin and fucking old man fucking donuts and shit on these bikes.
I've been riding that bike every day at work, chasing geese.
Chasing geese?
No, that's what I use it
Wait
for.
a second, hold on.
Okay, so our plant gets
Tell me more.
Our plant gets inundated with geese.
As everything does. The Canadian,
and
those
so
are the
they shit everywhere, and they're like
hold on.
sea rats or
Four-
sky rats.
Wait, now got to remember, our podcast listeners all don't live in Cleveland.
Right.
So a Canadian goose.
Canada geese.
Thank you. Way to go. Canada goose. A Canada goose, because they will yell at you. My friends of the North, my snowback friends, they will all tell you it's not a Canadian goose, it's a Canada goose.
All right.
Is a majestic and noble creature. If you watch Letterkenny, you'll understand.
I know, and I feel bad because I think Wayne's going to come and punch me right in the face.
But Canada goose has been a problem in Cleveland since they were like on the endangered species list when I was a little one. When I was a little one, they were like Canada goose. There's like, we had stamps with Canada goose on it.
Yep.
We had money with Canada goose on it because like we were trying to look out for our neighbors to the north because our national bird turns out is the natural predator of a Canada goose.
Oh.
Oh yeah, there's many pictures of a bald eagle just making a Canada goose its lunch. And never a picture with it going the other way. The only thing a Canada goose has ever gotten the upper hand on is a secretary running out of a college. In which case, there's tons of videos about that. People freaking out with Canada gooses. And if anyone does come after you, the trick is go for the neck.
Right.
Because once you got the neck, the Canada goose is done. I'm not saying anything about derogatory towards Canadian people as a whole. That's fine. We respect our neighbors to the north. You are America's hat. We love you. But
Yeah, the D-gens from the north.
in the north.
But why do you have, like, if you live in Cleveland, you'll know that Canada Goose is a problem. Our old shop in Mentor, you couldn't walk from the parking lot to the shop. It was like a slip and slide of poo.
No, see, what they do is they eat all the food in Canada.
Right.
They fly to the United States
Right.
and shit it all out.
Well, I'm convinced that there's nothing a Canada Goose
Fly back.
There's nothing a Canada Goose does better than turn Kentucky bluegrass into lubricant. Because all my creeping bent and Kentucky bluegrass and whatever I got in my yard, which is like Heinz 57 mix, these Canadian geese go out there and just like eat it raw and then shit literally molybdenum. Like anti-C's, you could take anti-C's and Canadian goose shit, and Canadian goose shit is slipperier. And it's only because we know how to walk on the ice up here that we don't die from Canada Goose tragedies every year. Because fuck these things. And it's like a normal seagull is just going to steal your French fry and fuck off. But like a Canada Goose, when it drops a turd, you could put a bus off the road. They lay these things that look like green cigars. And if you accidentally step on one, you got to throw your boots away. Because that shit's going to be slippery forever. So, honestly, I love my Canadian neighbors to the north, but fuck your damn bird. Like, choose a grouse or something, right? You know?
So
National
Steve's
bird.
using the bike over at the plant.
So you're chasing Canada Goose with the
On my
Chinese...
125. It's awesome. It's like I chase them and they
Look, man, I don't
they
wanna
start
laugh.
running. No, they start running, and so I'm right behind them. And I'm like, way, and they're like, and then they get in the air.
Oh, yeah.
So they kind of like
majestic
lift
when they're about
off,
to
and I
launch
don't know
into
if they're
flight.
molting. I mean, I don't know when they molt,
Yeah.
which they'd have a hard time flying if they were molting. But like all these same geese come back every year. I mean, the same geese.
You know, 'cause you tagged them.
There's one guy that like fucked some other duck. And no, I don't know what he did, but he's got a white head. So the same guy comes back every year. The one guy comes back with a
These are geese
squeaky wing.
duckins.
No, his wing squeaks. So when he flies, it's like eek, 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 eek.
I think that's a drone.
No,
I think
I
that's
don't know.
the
It might be a
Canadian Air
robot.
Force
I don't know. It
mechanical
might be a
drone.
robot geese.
That's some Da Vinci
Goose.
shit
I
right
have
there.
no idea. But so I chase these things and they take off, okay? And so they always they think they could fly 50 feet and land. Well, I can catch up with them. And I chase them so they start landing and I'm right behind them. They take off again. They go the next direction. I chase them up a hill. I chase them into the pit. I
Right.
chase them into the EQ basin. I chase them until they're gone.
Right.
And I don't care if they stay south,
Right.
but they're they walk in the main area and they shit everywhere.
Oh, they shit
And it's
constantly. Well, I mean, again, this thing is basically the size of a small Sikorsky. So if you're not familiar with the Canada Goose, if you take our national bird...
I mean, what's the span? Has got to be 8 feet.
Well, the
right?
wingspan of an American bald eagle is 47 feet. You should know that. That's part of the test. It is just just a little bit short of a B-24 bomber.
Right.
Right? Because it is pride in
America.
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 Right. But a Canada Goose is straight up, it's legit B-52 bomber 1/2 scale.
Yeah, right.
Right? And a Canada Goose, though, has the advantage of this really long neck. It's got an 18, 19-inch long neck. But the idea behind a neck is it can recoil that neck and strike you like a cobra. So if you catch one on the ground, you got to stay at least 18, 24 inches away outside of striking range. There are swans in Germany that are the same way. Those big giant white swans in Germany, don't fuck with those. If you're ever on deployment in Germany, pay attention. Don't fuck with those swans. They will fuck you up. But the Canada Goose thing, they're mostly make a lot of noise. They hiss at you.
Yeah.
And then they shit on your stuff.
Plus they're deceptive. They get behind you and they try to attack you from behind.
Again, your fault because legit, turn
you
around,
don't-
grab it by
I
the
know,
neck.
You don't get
Yeah.
flanked by a goose.
No, but mostly you just turn it around and put a MAGA hat on it real quick and send it north. And it'll be rejected by its peers. And they'll refuse its social health care at that point.
So
in which
Northeast
case,
Ohio,
yeah.
there's services that have dogs.
And dogs and explosives.
Well, the dogs I know about, where the dogs will just continually chase the geese just out of fun, and then the geese don't want to, stay there and lay their eggs or whatever it is.
Right. They fuck
So-
off.
They also don't like high grass. So if you have high grass
Yeah.
at any point around where they are,
Yeah.
they'll fly away because they
Interesting.
can't see a direct line. They want to see a direct line to like whatever's going to kill them.
Predator.
In Mentor, many of the factories there, Mentor is full of light industrial stuff. You know, people high tech type industries, and because the Canada Goose problem is a big deal, and they have a lot of giant square footage, they will have these gas powered cannons on the roof, and the gas powered cannons will randomly, just every so often, will just make a really loud boom, and they'll just set off and whatever. And they're on a timer, and they make this boom that fucks off all the aviary. Like anything with wings fucks off, because you would too. Like if you're just sitting around being a goose and this big boom comes off, you'd shit yourself and leave, right? Well, I used to be a police officer out there, and again, occasionally when you're walking around checking on like a window open or something, and a prowler kind of call, I will admit you do kind of get a little edgy about that. And so you're roaming around this thing in this building, checking for an open door or what have you, and then this loud fucking bang goes off. It's brown trousers time. So I didn't know about that until I'd worked there for a little while, that many of these factories have anti-goose cannons on the roof. It's a job. I don't know. But we used to get invaded at our Mentor store by the Canada geese. They would try to come into the shop. And they're adorable when you see like Canada Goose mommy and like 12 Canada Goose babies. You do naturally want to protect them. Mm-hmm. But then 4 months later, you want to chase them down in your Wyzinger. Yeah.
So I work in Willoughby. That's why I used to come up to see you all the time. And there's Todd Park, which is like the big park down there. And so occasionally when the weather's halfway decent, I try to get some exercise. And I go for a walk around the park, whatever. So there's like a giant herd of Canada geese down there, right?
I think they call those
a flock. Okay, whatever. So, me being an idiot.
If there's more than 25, that's called a syrup.
Okay, perfect. So I'm out there fucking with them, and they're all starting to fly away. Well, what I didn't realize was up in the other parking lot, they had, this was last year, they had like the last shipment of the Georgia peach truck come. Mm-hmm. And you remember how many, like, there's like 1,000 90-year-old people in line for these Georgia peaches. Like, it's like I don't even know how they know about it, but like everybody that's over the age of 85 knows about these peaches, and they line up and they sit there for hours.
Yeah.
Well, I disturbed the gooses enough that they all left and went up there and started chasing all the 90-year-old people around the parking lot.
God.
So there was like this nice orderly line of people waiting for peaches, and then the fucking geese went up there, and you just see fucking old people running everywhere.
Yeah, and each one's got their own personal goose chasing them. That's pretty good.
It's awesome.
So when I worked for Lakewood,
Yeah.
we were doing a construction job, and they killed a mother duck.
Okay.
And so I saw the nest, and it had all these eggs in it. So I threw the eggs in my incubator.
Right on.
And so
because Steve has a fucking incubator.
Of course he does.
Seriously,
legit. Would you expect any less?
Again, I'm going to call attention to the fact that he just revealed the fact that he owns an incubator.
Well, maybe more than one.
Okay, but we know he owns at least one incubator. Continue.
Well, anyway, I hatched these mallards.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know I think it's illegal to do it, but the mother was dead, and I didn't want the eggs to go unhatched. So
fair enough.
Anyway, I had these 8 mallard ducks, and I raised them with my chickens.
Huey, Dewey,
yeah.
and Louie.
No, but they were cool ducks, and so I mean,
Duck
and they're neat because they follow you around. I mean, whatever. So I raised these ducks, and they became like, as they got more mature, I brought them down to the wastewater
Send them
plant.
to duck college.
Yeah, no, I brought them down to the wastewater plant, and they like grew up and they flew away.
Right, because they're ducks, and ducks fuck off. Right.
But most of the time, ducks,
come
if
back every year
if they even see a human being, they fly away. So the next year they came back.
We have guns for that.
Yeah, but the next year they came back,
Right.
And they had like they
More
had their
ducks.
babies at the wastewater
Ducks
plant.
will make more ducks
But they would come up to you and you could like pet them.
because they were tame ducks.
But they were like wild, but they were tame. I mean, they weren't afraid of humans, but
They're not wild anymore.
No, but I mean, they did all the wild duck
I get
things.
you. Yeah.
But they weren't afraid of humans.
Okay.
So
Maybe
every
it's just
year, the same
The same group of ducks.
that I raised
Right.
came back, and they would
Printed
have.
on them.
Well,
They're like
it was-
elephants.
But it was kind of cool because I raised chickens down at the plant. I
Right.
raised all this stuff.
I will tell you, I have had my eyes opened to wastewater recycling facilities. because my whole world has changed. Putting his meat in my mouth at a wastewater treatment facility,
Yeah.
I got to admit, it was clean. It didn't smell bad. Nope. Considering I know the people that work there.
Wait, his meat or the plant?
All of the above. Like, legit. Every other waste. Look, I drive past 2 wastewater treatment plants on my way home.
Right.
There's the one, Rocky River, that we know
it
the Metro
stinks
Parks is
all the
down there.
time.
It stinks to hell hot.
What about Whiskey Island? Whiskey Island will knock you out on a fucking
Okay,
house.
and I go past the one in Bay Village, Rocky River, where the guy that's got the giant like Donald Trump statue and stuff lives lakefront. He's got that $1 billion house, but the only thing that makes me feel better is to know that he's got to smell shit every single day because right next to the senior citizen living facility, they can't smell anything anymore. But the guys across the street in the $1 billion mansions. Depends. Depends. But yeah, they smell bad. I pulled into his place, and it didn't stink.
No.
No,
Not at all.
not at all. Like I didn't know. I didn't know that if you do it right, it doesn't stink.
Right.
Again, what do I know?
I was amazed the first time we went there a couple of years ago or something like that. First of all, it's fascinating. Like, you know, you always hear him busting on his balls about whatever. The place is fascinating. It's really
fascinating.
cool. It's neat to see how it all goes through and does everything.
Where does
It's
the
a
poop
farm.
go?
It's a bacteriological farm, and people
is.
don't get it. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I got to say, I have a lot of respect for you because as I was sitting there eating a giant fucking slab of meat, I'm sitting outside at a shit factory.
Yeah.
Eating a giant piece of meat.
And happy about
and
it.
Totally thrilled.
Yeah.
Couldn't be happier. Anyway, letters from our guests, podcast people, Patreons, in fact, the people who paid for the bikes you rode. So here we go. Jerry Minikowski says, hey, thanks for posting on YouTube. I enjoy watching the interactions, actions, and watching the same screen as the crew.
Nice.
So there you go. Thank you, Steve. Care package came today. Now, this is a big part of the Patreon thing. Renee, you guys might know Renee. Renee lovingly packages. So if you give us $10 a month at that party line level, Renee will touch your package. She does lovingly. She'll grab it and she'll just kind of stuff it.
She stuffs her box for you, right?
No, it's amazing what she can get in her box. And so she'll work real hard for you and she'll make sure that that box is full. She'll pack that box with stuff that we have laying around here that we made for you. So if you want Renee to handle your package and stuff her box for you, she'll send it off with love. And so this is Jerry Minikowski saying, care package came today. I love it and thank you. Here's a question for you. Do you guys consider yourself bikers? Are bikers limited to just those cruiser tattoo riding types, or is that for all motorcycle enthusiasts? Here you go, guys. By European standards, we're bikers, all right? Legit. I've traveled the world. And in Europe, we all carry our helmets into the cafe, and we're bikers. We'll sit around and we'll smoke our Galoises and drink our whatever, our Grolsch Flippies, and talk about motorbikes, right? Fair game. And we are bikers.
cigars.
By Canadian standards, we're fucking gobshites. We are what we are.
What's a gobshite?
A gobshite is you. We are gobshites. We talk shit. And if you're not careful, we may come home to your house.
I got a question actually that came into Moto Stories for
Continue.
you and Steve. So I know you guys love PC800s, especially Phil.
Right.
That being said, I'd like to add some heated grips, fog, and auxiliary lights. Should I be concerned about the excess wattage from these two items? Can using LED lighting in the headlight, taillight, dash lights, etc. reduce wattage enough to add these extra farkles? Listen to the podcast since 2014.
I'm going to let Steve Hoffert answer that because honestly, Steve Hoffert, how many PC800s have you owned?
4 or 5.
I've owned 3, so you win. So you get to answer this question.
Well, I have heated grips on my PC800 right now,
Right.
and there's no issue.
Right.
What was the other?
He wants to add fog lights, auxiliary lights, etc.
I would say that if you added fog lights, it would be LEDs.
All LEDs.
Yeah, LEDs. I mean, you would go LED.
And his other half of the question is if he changes out the headlights, tail lights, turn signals, and converts them
I
all
don't think
to
he has
LEDs.
to do anything for the hand grips. They're like 35 watts.
Right.
So that's
here's
not an issue.
And what I'll say is, on vintage Japanese motorcycles, they only gave you enough stator that they had to.
Gee, I wonder where I would learn that from.
Exactly. Right. So they only give you enough stator that they had to, so you can do the exchange rate. And so sometimes the exchange rate is like euros to dollars. Sometimes it's like Kazakhstan kopecks to dollars. Sometimes it's like pounds to dollars. Right. So like you can trade in lighting credit by switching everything to LEDs to pick up heating credit.
Right.
And heating is fucking expensive. So so the two things are the most expensive.
Heating is the biggest expense.
Heating and audio. So as far as I'm concerned, decibels and Kelvin and BTUs.
Because
so
my
BTUs
PC had a radio.
Yep.
It had a Pioneer 50 watt whatever on it.
Right.
Plus heated grips.
You got it.
And I really didn't. And I put a voltage. What I did with my PC 800 is I put a voltage meter on it because I was concerned. I had to replace the voltage regulator twice.
Yeah, right.
But I got one from Rick's.
Yep.
And that seemed to
Problem
solve the
solved.
problem. Yeah. I mean,
and what he also did was he put a wind turbine up on the top of the bike because with a PC 800, you're getting about 96 watts, right? And the bike takes 85 watts to run. And if you turn the turn signals on, you're at 125 watts. So a PC 800 can't run with the turn signals on for more than like 3 minutes.
The biggest problem is in the summer.
Yeah.
When the cooling fan comes on.
Exactly.
So in the winter, you really don't have to worry about that. So if you're looking at putting heated grips on, I don't think it's an issue at all
Not at
because
Your
you're not
cooling
really,
fan will
your
never
cooling
come
fan
on.
will never come on.
Right.
But in the summer with your riding lights, there might be an issue.
And
I
winter
would say that-
electrons move better than summer electrons. So, and when we say that, what we're saying is batteries perform better in cooler temperatures than they do in hot temperatures.
Right,
So
but
if
they
you
have a reduced. The batteries actually have a reduced capacity.
Exactly. So it's a really weird thing that when we work on bikes, we have to tell people it's like, I know you think your battery's working harder in the winter, but it is working harder because your oil's heavier and thicker in the winter. Your oil gets stagnant
Well,
just
to
like
start,
we do.
but it's reduced capacity.
Exactly.
So I mean, you're actually working with less.
You're working with less. Exactly. Okay.
But I don't think he's got an issue. I mean, really. I mean, the headlight.
No.
I mean, he might want to if he wants to put an LED headlight in and a tail light.
all the kids are doing it. Buy all the LED shit you can buy. Support China. Get as much LED in your bike as you
I'm
can.
not so sure that LED is actually any better than
Most of them have built-in resistors, which causes them to be just as inefficient as the incandescents do.
Right.
So sometimes to make a bulb work correctly, the manufacturer back in, the Great Candy Mountain of Ho Chi Minh, Guangzhen or Shenzhou or whatever, they'll put resistors in to make the lights work better. And so when we test these things, a 5-watt bulb that you're like, oh, this 5-watt LED is a savings over the 18-watt it's replacing, it turns out it's drawing about 11.5 or 12 watts. So, yeah.
But the heat, see, what I see, because I've replaced a lot of different kinds of bulbs, like sodium bulbs and like metal halides and all this other stuff with LEDs and with fluorescence.
Yeah,
and what I say is the LEDs really don't live up to the hype because they don't last as long. Mm-hmm. They generate a ton of heat. So
remarkably
if they're generating
more heat than you think.
Yeah, but check this out. So it says like on older BMWs, 55 watts on low beam and 165 watts on high beam with the old school lights. Now with LEDs,
there's no way. There's no way 165 watts on high beam.
The old
This is from
headlights.
Clearwater, dude.
They're wrong. So
Okay.
honestly,
They're
they're
not
wrong.
right.
The old headlights would be 55 watts on low beam and in addition, and 55 watts or maybe
55.
55, or if you were funky and you're like a weird fetishy guy, like you get a ball gag kind of thing, you might have a 55.
Okay.
So you can find like on the Russian market and shit, you can find these weirdo 55 bulbs that would be 55 at low range and 85 on high range. But nobody, I mean, I've been in the dark web and I've never seen anything over an 85
Well,
watt high
they're
beam.
saying that the LEDs for the headlights take it down to 25 and 45.
That's true.
So
No, but they say that's what they're rated at. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would really love to put an ammeter on that
Oh, sure.
and see what it's really
I mean, we
generating.
got one right over there. We can
Because-
test anything
I
we
know,
want.
but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it generates so much heat.
They're hot as fuck.
I mean, why do you need a heat sink this big on the back
Exactly.
of an LED bulb?
Right.
if it's so efficient.
We can bring one out for you. When you guys look at Amazon, because you're like, I want to put some fucking LEDs in my headlight. And you'll see like the lighting element is like this little castle-shaped thing with a bunch of LED crystals on it. But then the back of this thing is like giant heatsink with a fan in it.
With a fan.
With a fan or a giant like wick.
It almost looks like a Tesla coil thing on the back.
And, or there's a giant 6-inch long wick on it that looks like, a used condom. And that's sitting there, and that's to dissipate heat too.
And a lot of people don't realize that when you try to switch to LEDs, a lot of times your headlight bucket will not be sealed anymore, and you will get things. So like, there's all kinds. If you go on Thingiverse, if you have a 3D printer, there's all these guys that put up print files to make a bigger thing to put. To
make an adapter.
Yeah, but you don't want to cover that. You don't want to cover that heat sink because then the LEDs won't last.
Right,
So,
but then at that point you don't have a sealed headlight. So it's,
if you're
I know,
putting
so then why do you replace it? I mean, to me,
if you're putting a
just stick-
fan on your headlight, it's a hot headlight.
Right.
Okay. I mean, not for nothing.
Right.
But if you have a auxiliary fan powered headlight, okay.
So do they rate the entire fixture at 14 watts?
No, the bulb is 14 watts, but the fan is 21 watts.
Well, that's what
We
I'm saying.
tested it.
So is the net wattage
it's
the same?
nothing.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
or
nothing.
what's the net savings
Right.
on
It's
that?
almost nothing. When I tested the ones we had here, the bulb, the light, the illumination part of it was 14 or 15 watts. And then when the fan was pulling 21 to 26 watts. So end of the day, you're spending almost 40 watts, 50 watts.
So you might as well just put in a better...
And it wasn't working.
Headlight.
And this is the problem: is remember that your headlights are all using the parabolic reflector that your factory engineered. So when the factory engineered your parabolic reflector for your halogen type light that went in it, it was designed to work with the halogen type, like a module, right?
Yeah, and the way that halogen displays the light.
So
and if you have because most of them have a tube.
Yes.
They have some on the sides.
A
and they have
chip on
some in the
board.
center.
It's a cob for people who are
and the spread.
It's
totally
terrible.
changes when
It's
you have an
garbage.
LED.
It's garbage.
And I've hated. I mean, that's my.
You either
big
get
beef.
two
It's like-
things. You get this bright blue light that blinds your ass when the guy with the Audi comes up, comes over the hill, or you end up with this useless light that doesn't fill in the corners at all. And because remember, unless your motorcycle was engineered to have LEDs, like our Zeros and stuff like that, which were engineered to have LEDs, that's no problem. But if you take my Versys over there with its multi-segmented parabola reflectors, and you replace the incandescent halogen bulbs that were in there with an LED, the light is not going where it should be going because the source of it is not the same.
And the direction of the light.
Thank you.
Is not
It's not
hitting
the same. So
See,
you
what
end
I
up with
say
these
is use
weird
a
lines on the
xenon.
road.
I say if you want to enhance your lighting,
Right.
go with the same wattage
Yeah.
like a xenon light.
Yeah, there's
because
a-
it's a
Change the
whiter
color temperature.
Yeah, the whiter light. I mean, the blue stuff. That pisses me off.
Stick with
People
the bulbs.
use like blue lights.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Why don't you use the xenon stuff that's like bright white?
Yeah.
That actually
Works
when
with
it
your human
hits something
eyes.
and it works. Yeah, exactly. It
Right.
works with your human
Yeah,
eye to
exactly.
see things.
No, you mentioned the Versys.
Yes.
You were supposed to tell us a story.
I will tell you a story about the Versys. Well, I'm going to finish Jerry's letter because Jerry's letter is great. So Jerry says, I have a question. My NC700X.
Hey.
Hey.
I've owned one.
You've owned one.
All right,
You've owned
exactly.
one. Yep.
Everybody at this table, well, two of the people at this table have had NC700Xs. Two of the people at this table like them. I
do.
think they're garbage.
seat sucks.
Anyway,
The seat, why? You have
you
to
fix
fix
it.
it. Yeah, once you fix it, it's cool.
in case you were wondering, this motorcycle podcast has a certain amount of experience with the Honda NC700X motor.
A little bit.
So I have a question. My NC700X has an airbox drain tube.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Harley friends are installing vented oil dipsticks or drains from the breathers to get oil blowback. Is that the same thing? I think it is, but most of them think it's just a Harley thing. Okay, I'm going to help you out. Jerry, for the record, any motorcycle engine that has a crankcase, in the crankcase, you're going to get pressure, right? So you're firing this internal combustion motor and things are moving around. And you're going to have a situation where the atmospheric pressure inside the crankcase is a little higher than the atmospheric pressure outside in the world. And in the old days, what we would do is we would have a hose that came off the top of the engine case that went out to the atmosphere. And oil vapor would go out, and owls would fall out of the tree, and Canada gooses would get cough and get verklempt. And generally speaking, it was bad for the environment. So what they had to do was they had to figure out a way to mitigate that because they had to make people happy again. Because again, every time an owl fell out of the tree, right, that meant another Prius on the road. So, and that wasn't going to do. So what they did was they figured out if they ran a hose from the top of the crankcase into the airbox through a check valve. So what would happen is the overpressurization in the crankcase would shoot the bad air, the evil air that contained the old dinosaur particles and the hydrocarbons up into the airbox, and then the airbox would suck it in through what? The air injection system, or what we used to in the old days you would call a carburetor, and the new days we call a fuel injector.
Right.
And that would suck it in, and it would put it into the internal combustion engine again. And it would a spark would light, and it would burn it at a 93,000 degrees centigrade, and it would take all those dinosaur particles and then neutralize them through a catastrophic internal combustion, and then it would go out the tailpipe, and we'd plant flowers. It was cool.
And I can tell you right now
Right.
that your NC700X and Honda
Yep,
has put that system in for you.
you got it.
Unlike Harley.
Unlike
you
Harley.
cannot figure it out.
Right. So your NC700X is absolutely fine. In fact, I'm going to make you a wager that if you live anywhere that humans have lived for the past 200 years, the air coming out of your tailpipe and your NC700X is cleaner than the air going into it.
Yeah.
That's my wager. You're welcome to back it up with scientific research, but I'm going to use my hypothesis and drink this bourbon.
Yeah.
So we're back to that. So your airbox has a blow-by collection area that's built into it. It has a drain tube. And I will call
you
your
should
attention to that.
service it and
you
drain
should
the liquid
occasionally.
out of
If
it.
there is a plug in your drain tube, you will occasionally want to take that plug out and see what comes out.
Yeah, spooge.
If you don't, your airbox, and I have seen this happen with many customers' bikes, if you forget to take that plug out every once in a while, your airbox will fill up with blow-by oil.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, and your bike will run weird. It'll usually
Like a
stall at red
milky-
lights.
It's like a beige, milky.
Yeah, and you'll end up with oil that looks like a milkshake.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Right.
what
Fair enough.
all the clone guys that
Yeah.
get the Groms and the Grom clones and stuff. A lot of them have
Catch cans.
little guys, but they're just a clear tube
Pill
and
bottle.
they pinch it.
Yeah,
You right.
right, yeah.
These guys know what to do. They cut the bottom off, and so then they're like, "There's oil all over my bike, and I don't know where it's coming from."
And I'm getting too much air in my airbox. Yeah,
Right,
okay,
and
fair
that's-
enough.
that's
So
where it
that's
came
what that
from.
is.
Yeah.
That's so Patreon, you've been supported.
And you don't have to
yeah.
worry about that.
Yeah,
No
we got
worries.
you. We got you covered, man. Right. So one of these dudes wants a Corbin seat. This dude is straight up. He's not happy. He's not at all happy for his Vespa. He's got a Vespa Sprint S150. That's the trapezoid headlight, kick-ass 2020, whatever. He says, the stock seat was really bad for me. I have an abnormally large ass.
Join the club.
And not in a good Cardi B way. More of a double Whopper side of onion rings kind of way. It's obviously made for a small Italian couple, guy, girl, girl, guy, whatever combined weight of 300 pounds. But I personally weigh
He needs
300.
you know what? He needs a day long.
Hold on, we're going
Yeah.
to get to that. I personally weigh 300 pounds, and the seat did not work for me. I ordered the single sport seat from Clevelandmoto, and it's better, but it's still not right for my figure. Do you have a suggestion for a seat or a seat company that can custom fit me better with one of the pans I already have available? I ride every day, 30 miles round trip when it's nice, and just want to enjoy the ride without my lower extremities falling asleep during. Thanks for the input. So you're talking about a Vespa, right? So you're talking about a Vespa saddle. It's a plastic seat pan. It's cool. It's great. But the trick is, you're going to think the answer is to add more foam. No, it's not. The trick is fitting it. So the greatest, most comfortable seat in the world came on a Ford tractor. It was a piece of metal that had holes in it you could drop a golf ball through. And if you sat on one of these Ford tractor saddles,
And I have one.
all right, you could sit on one of these things for 18 hours in a row and still live to father a family of 18, right? It was cool. It worked great. And it was made of metal. And it had no padding in it whatsoever. Like, it never came with a catcher's mitt stapled to it or anything. It was metal.
But it was made for an ass.
But it was made for an ass.
Yeah.
And the seat...
Shaped like an ass.
Exactly. As opposed to me, which is shaped like an ass. But when we look at a scooter seat, it's not shaped like an ass. So if
No,
you
it's
talk...
shaped like a candy bar.
It's shaped like a candy bar, exactly. or it's shaped like something sporty, but it's not shaped like this guy's double whopper with a side of onion rings ass, right? Not in a Cardi B kind of way. So anyway, right. So him and his wide ass posterior are going to need to get something better. So what I would recommend is I recommend calling Mike Corbin. Mike Corbin does seats for Sprints and Primaveras that are shaped like American, Wisconsin cheese-eating asses. Right. And so you can get a seat, and I have one sitting over there that's like proper, like a straight up, it'll make anybody in Milwaukee proud kind of seat.
Every seat that's ever been like super comfortable, and like if you really want to find out what a good seat is, just look up the Iron Butt guys.
Yeah.
And see what they're running.
Right.
Because these dudes do 1,000 miles.
Right.
And as Steve said, most of them will be Russell Daylongs.
Right.
Russell Day
And Sargent,
if
too.
they would make one, I don't know if they make one for that bike.
No, they don't.
Well, it would be a shame because they have
Honestly,
wings
if you
that come
send-
out they're awesome.
They're ugly as fuck until you sit on one, and then you're like,
I have one on my BMW.
I had one
and
on my
would-
BMW too, and again, it looks like a
like
bag of
shit.
smashed assholes.
Yeah.
But it looks like hell. But when you
does.
sit on it, you're like, oh my god, I'm
And
in
the
heaven.
funny thing is everybody always freaks out.
Right.
Like about,
Why does it have wings like a maxi pad?
But they're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, look how bad it looks.
Right.
But when you're on the bike, do you see it?
No,
You're on
it's
it.
like a vampire. Like a vampire looks in a mirror, can't see himself.
Right.
So a vampire doesn't know if he's got acne or bad hair or anything else. He's a fucking vampire. And I have motorcycles that you can only ride if you're a vampire because these bikes are ugly.
Right.
But straight up legit, like a Russell Daylong saddle, when you're sitting on it, first of all, your feet never touch the ground because the son of a bitch is 6 inches tall.
Right.
So if you're a short fella, you can't have a Russell Daylong. But I bought in my life, I bought 10 or 15 BMWs where the receipt from the Russell Daylong saddle was like 30% of the purchase price of the motorcycle.
Oh, easy, yeah.
Yeah. And a pride item, like the receipt was laminated.
And if you want one, you can't be like, I think I want one this week.
No.
You have to plan a year ahead of time, or like
you
6
do.
months.
You have to
ahead
get a
of time,
permission slip from your chiropractor and everything else. you basically, a Russell Daylong saddle is one of those items where when you see it on a bike, you're going to be like,
yeah.
God.
Why would they recommend that?
Oh, that's got to be East German. Like you'll only see that on a Meepner or some shit. But then when you actually sit on it, you're like, oh, baby, where you been all my life?
Right.
And
Mine's leather too. Mine's
know mine is
actually
too.
real leather.
mine is
I
made
love
of,
my Russell Daylong. I don't care what you could call it, the ugliest thing in the world, but you know what? Make an ugly woman your
Yep.
wife. You'll be happy for the rest of
as
your
long
life.
as she can cook, man. And that Russell Daylong, it has. There is legit. There are wings that come out of the side of a Russell Daylong saddle that look
You don't
like
even know why they're there.
they're like weird extra jowls that come out, but they hold anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing about a Russell is like you could have a heart attack on a Russell, you could have a stroke,
Right.
and make it another state.
Right.
You can't fall out of that fucking seat, man. Like legit, that son of a bitch is gonna hold on forever.
See, now I was going to sell my 1150.
Yeah.
Now I want to keep it.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I'm sorry. Your bike has an ABS controller on it.
I know. That scares me.
Look, if you have a BMW with an ABS controller, you have a grenade in your left hand, and you can't find the pin.
But I have a Ural, so
Yeah.
I have a grenade underneath
No.
my balls.
No, if you have
It's the alternator.
If you have a BMW with a number higher than 1100 or 1100 or higher, so if you own a BMW with a number 1100 or higher, in your left hand you are currently holding a grenade.
Right.
In the right hand you used to be holding a pin, but it's not there anymore. And now you have a situation. Right? Red pill or blue pill kind
Throw
of thing. You're legit. Like right now, my recommendation to you is to buy the BMW ABS diverter, right? There is a thing you can buy that will make your ABS controller go away. But if you don't change your brake fluid in these old BMWs daily, you're probably not going to be able to make your ABS system survive.
But you know what? I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
You're right. You have to change the fluid,
Yeah.
but it might be the best brake system I've ever had on a bike.
Until it's not.
Until it's not. But but when you're using it,
Yeah.
it saved my fucking bacon.
Of course it has.
I mean,
Me too.
I slammed on that
Absolutely.
thing and I missed a deer by like 6 inches.
Right.
And that thing works so perfectly.
Yeah.
But every time I'm like at a light, like
Yeah.
waiting like on a hill,
Yeah.
and the thing's going, I'm thinking, is this thing gonna like let go on me? And am I gonna cost me $2,000?
The power brake system on BMWs that are equipped with a power boosted brake system.
The servo-driven.
The servo-driven brake system.
So it's
and
nice,
also,
but it's-
and it's not just BMWs. There are certain Aprilias that came that way too. And if you own one, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. But just sell it to an Italian fetishist of some sort. But you'll do it okay. You'll get like $500 for it. But anywho, and also just the regular ABS system. So then the non-power boosted brake system on BMWs is equally dangerous. So it's like when you buy one of these bikes, if the bike has an ABS light on it, the only solution to fix that is to find a guy who's weirder than you are, who will take $3,000 to try to fix it. He'll fail. And then at least you've spent $3,000 and got to meet some guy and have coffee with him for 6 months. But the real issue is you just accept the fact that you don't have ABS anymore.
Right.
You're going to have a warning light on the dashboard, and that at any moment your brakes will energize and not de-energize.
Right.
Now, for anybody who's never had that happen to them, I'm going to explain what it's
that
like.
sucks.
When it happens, if you'd like to imagine eating your underwear through your asshole. So take your underwear and eat them as fast as you can, but only use your butt to do it. If you've never done this before, you should try it. And if you haven't done that, get a BMW R1100 RTP. You can get them cheap. They're like $2,500. Police departments used to own them. They got like 68,000 miles on them. You can buy them cheap as chips. But then the one time you're going to get in like somewhat of a panic stop, like a kid's going to run out in front of you, or you're going to see a discount sale at the auto parts place or whatever, and you're going to grab a handful of stoppie. And when you do that, the brakes are going to energize, but then you're going to let go, and they're not going to let go.
Yeah.
In which case, if you're not already leaving the motorcycle at a rapid status, you're probably going to be picking it up off the ground. And at which point you will have learned what happens to an ABS system on a BMW when it ceases to be your friend and starts to be your enemy.
Plus, it's a dual circuit system, and when you try to change the fluid, it's like it's got one circuit for the brakes and one circuit for the activation.
They will turn on you like a stripper when you've run out of money.
And the
There's
reservoir
nothing
is the
more
size
vicious.
the reservoir is the size of like 1 cubic centimeter.
Okay, the reservoir on those holds just enough fluid to get contaminated.
I could shoot a load bigger than that.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. But this thing about like, I found a really, if anybody ever tells you, look, if anybody ever says, dude, I got this really cool oilhead BMW.
Demonetized.
For demonetized. If anybody ever says like, dude, I got this great deal on this BMW oilhead, whatever, get them to do what's called a TOD, transferable on death. And basically,
And it's only got the ABS light on.
exactly. Everything's great about the
It's
bike
mint,
except it's got
but
an ABS
the
light on.
ABS light on.
What I'm going to recommend is befriend that guy's wife. All right? Because you're going to have all of his shit in about 6 weeks. If you don't think I'm right, if you think like if you're a propeller head and you're one of these assholes that bleeds
has one like
BMW,
me.
if you think everything great came out of Bavaria, go out, prove me wrong. Go out and buy a 45,000 mile, 15-year-old BMW for $3,500 or whatever the fuck it is. I've had 19 of them. Your days are numbered. You're literally counting backwards from the day that you die to the day that you buy that bike. Because when the shit goes, you've had it happen. I know I've had it happen. There's two things that are going to happen. One is you're going to be like, this bike's great. Check it out. I got a big old boxer twin.
Drive shaft just shredded.
Okay, or I'm going to give this thing the beans, and you watch your oil sight glass pass you in the high-speed lane.
And your foot gets wet.
And your
You're like,
foot-
why is somebody pissing on my foot?
Why is my left foot so warm? Why is my left foot so warm? And why did my foot just slide off this peg? Oh, wait, that's all of my
Wait,
oil.
and all my bearings too.
Yes.
And all my crank bearings.
So there's like legit, okay, there's like legit 5 ways a BMW oil head can fuck you in
Ask
the ass.
Liza. I love you, Liza.
I have
by the way.
spread 3 quarts of synthetic Bel-Ray down Lake Road on one spirited. I'm 5 minutes late to work.
They
I'm 5 minutes late to work.
They fixed the pie hole error in the 1150s, though. So you're not going to spew your oil through the sight glass in an 1150.
Yes. Okay, but in
But the power
1100, you're
brakes
fucked.
will still fuck you.
Right. So in 1150, the oil sight glass won't have sudden decompression. But in the 1150, the brakes will kill you. Right? Legit.
That's why I want to. That's why I want to trade all this shit in for an AK 550.
But in the 1200s, and the 1250s, the CAN bus system.
Right.
So just before it catches on fire, it will delete all your funds and turn it into Bitcoin and Dogecoin for some Saudi Arabian prince.
And if you have like 1/4 of a milliliter more fluid in your rear
Yeah,
end,
that's true too.
you
It'll
can't
blow the seal
check
up.
it
You can't
because
check
they
it. Yep.
changed it so that you have to take the tire off to check it.
Right.
For
That's
the
true.
first 10 years of
Yep.
the freaking
That's true.
1200s.
Also true.
You blow your seals out of your rear end, and then you're fucked too.
Also true.
I love
if you
the
change
Germans.
one
I
bulb
love,
in the bike,
Wait, sorry. The Germans.
the Germans.
I love the Germans.
What do you have that? What do you got that revolver for? The Germans. I fucking like my customers come in all the time and they're like, I have all of the warning lights on my bike, and I'm like, did you change the taillight? And they're like, I did. I put an LED in. I was like, you can't do that.
No.
It's a BMW, dude.
It called.
You can only put a Bosch taillight in a BMW.
It'll send a mean email.
Oh, the black
immediately.
helicopter will show up. Klaus and Hans are going to rappel down out of a black helicopter, and they're going to be like, what have you done to a motorcycle?
For your face of
Next
making
thing you
you
know,
talk.
you're going to be getting unwanted dental work from some German, and he's going to be asking you, is it safe? I'm sorry, too many obscure movie
All right, what happened
references.
to the Versys?
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Oh, so we've done one test ride this year. Fuck test rides. So, yeah, we had a guy come out and test ride our Versys.
It looks like it went well.
It did. No, the left side of the bike is wrong. So the left side of the bike is down at the intersection of Lorraine and 237. That's where you'll find the turn signals and most of the left side of the bike. It's amazing. The guy had really good upper body strength because he grabbed the right handlebar and like put it in his mouth just before the point of impact. So just before the bike hit the ground, he was like, fuck you, you're not going to crash. I'm going to wheel you back up.
Right.
No, the bike crashed.
I like how he dented plastic.
Oh, yeah. I'd never seen that before.
know how you
I
do
didn't even
that.
know you could dent plastic.
I didn't know either.
Dude dented the shit. That bike had 1,300 miles on it.
Yeah.
As close as you can get to a perfect 2015 Versys.
Yeah.
And, well, no.
Yep.
So here's the tip.
What's the rub?
If you want to take a test ride at my shop, fuck you very much. You're going to be going through Twisted Roads. We'll be doing a one-day rental contract for you.
Right.
So this way, at least if you fuck my bike up, Austin's insurance can pay for the shit you broke.
Right.
Right? Twisted Road, if you want to rent a motorcycle anywhere in America, go to Twisted Road. And if you look at our shop, all of our inventory is on Twisted Road. And next time you think about taking a test ride, you can take a one-day rental of any motorcycle I have. Mm-hmm. And if you buy the bike, I'll pay for your rental.
Cool.
How's that?
That's
That
fair. That's very
That seems
fair.
fair.
Yeah.
And if your balls aren't big enough to pay for a one-day rental, you just want to ride my shit to see if you can go out and break it, fuck you, man.
Right.
I didn't like you to begin with. so now that bike is super duper crashed. And that was our first test ride of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Come on. How you going to treat me? Like, that's not even cool.
No.
No. And then, like, we get the phone calls from lawyers and insurance companies and shit like that.
More importantly, how far did the guy get before he crashed?
0.3 of a mile. Exactly 3 turns. He made a right out of my parking lot. He made a right on my side street, right here. I mean, you could fall over and hit that shit.
Right.
Rode down, went past the cemetery, made a right on Rocky River. These are all rights.
Now, these are the same roads where we take scooters with 1-inch suspension
Yeah.
and mediocre brake. We always ride them, no problems at all.
Yeah.
Now, this is a full-blown good bike with good brakes and good tires and good wheels and
It's
good
a
suspension.
Versys.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Versys is Japanese for unfuckwithable.
Right.
Right? So, like, this dude crashed it. What he said was the light went yellow, and he got excited because he told me when he left, I was like, dude, you gave me a deposit. It's your bike. Go ride it. Go fuck off into the woods. I don't care. Disappear for an hour or two. It's got a full tank of gas.
Right.
Chris has been mine. I have never been stingy on a test ride. Right? Go have fun. Chris went and found friends and came back after we closed. Am I lying?
Well, you're exaggerating.
I believe James had to stay late one night because Chris went out and test ride.
No, that was a customer test ride.
Oh, it was? Okay.
I was on my own fucking bike and I was going home.
Oh, okay. That was... That's true. That's right. That was a customer ride. Yeah.
Yeah, he came down from Michigan.
That's right. He came from Michigan and was like, I'm not going to give it back. Those guys don't need to go home.
Nah.
Right. If I keep it and I come back and the door's locked, I can go take it forever, right?
Right.
I'm surprised James still remembers that.
No, I just remembered it. I filed that because I thought it'd be funny. But anyway, this dude tried to make a left on, down here at the corner.
Right.
And he was like, oh, the yellow light happened and I freaked out. So he decided to turn his bike into a fucking parking ornament, I guess. Mm-hmm. And when I get scared, the first thing I do is try to crash a bike.
Right.
And so that's what he did. So he got scared and crashed a motorcycle.
He dropped it right there in Rock.
Oh, right there, right in the corner. And then he came back and it's got a regular handlebar on the one side and it's got an ape hanger on the other.
Right.
So it's cool. It's a bit what I call asymmetrical.
It's got a custom brake lever.
It does have a custom brake lever.
Right.
Okay, look, if we tried to bend that brake lever back, that shit would snap off.
In a second. I like it has the part that's supposed to snap,
Yes.
or you can break.
No,
and
it's still there.
It's still there.
Right.
But the whole thing is seed out.
But if we tried to make it back into a regular lever,
Never
it would
happened.
disappear instantly. It would vaporize.
Yep.
But the fact is, that man pushed that motorcycle into the ground and made a banana.
it did.
And we couldn't do that if we tried.
No.
Not without like 800 degrees of heat. It
Right.
still wouldn't make a banana. But he made a banana. Yeah, so he came back and he's all like, his one shoulder's real low and stuff. And he's like, well, I crashed it on the test ride. And I hung back here. I was hiding because I didn't want to come out and entertain him. I figured we'd let him admit to his fault in front of Renee and James, get properly shamed. And then I would come out and just be like, okay, well, what else do you want me to do to it? Because I'm clearly going to fix it. And so that was it. But again, don't test ride anything you're not willing to pay for.
Right.
That's the moral of this story. So test ride 1, crash 1.
Good fear so far.
Buy one.
Buy one. No, but it's like, look, I love selling motorcycles. You guys know that shit. Like,
Yeah.
I love taking a human being who wants to embark on an adventure and putting them on the vehicle for their adventure and going out in the parking lot and spending quality, what they call the Phil Waters experience.
Right.
And doing that and doing wheelies and stoppies and then handing them the keys and being like, you go do you now. Mm-hmm. You've seen what I can do. Now you
You see the potential of the bike.
embark on your own adventure, right? Embark on your own adventure. And then I do that, and then they go out and murder puppies and shit. Like, that ain't cool.
I mean, how do you twist up a bike like that?
At 0 miles an hour.
I mean, I don't
Well,
get
okay,
it.
now, for the record, we do zeros here, and a motherfucker can screw a 0 into the earth in the parking space, because nobody's like, oh, wait, torque is supposed to have noise.
Right.
So dudes all the time out in the parking lot are like, cool, 0 demo day. And they'll come back and they'll be like high-fiving each other and shit and very frat boy. And next thing you know, it's like, Greek. And next thing you know, you're like, oh my fucking God, there's a pair of handlebars coming out of the asphalt. How did you do that? And then it's like, Satan is like, that motorcycle is mine. And
The
you'll
bummer
never
about
see it
Zero
again.
demo days is the same guy comes 4, 5, 6 years
Also
in a
true.
row,
Yep, that's
and he
true.
never buys anything.
No.
He's like, and then every year they come up to you and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to buy one."
No,
And
dude,
it's like, no.
dude shows up in a 0 hat and a 0 t-shirt. And I'm like, no. No, I'm not going to give you
own one,
0
bro.
pants.
Go
No.
in. If you're going to go in,
Right.
go all in.
Exactly. Buy the fucking bike.
Don't be a douche.
Steve doesn't work for us or Zero, and Steve has showed up at every
Right.
Zero demo event because Steve's bike has hojillion miles on it. And I rode your bike today, by the way. And that bike is properly broken in. It doesn't make a single noise.
Isn't it? That bike is silent.
There's never been a quieter bike in the world.
No, that bike is
No.
absolutely silent.
You grip it and rip it on that bike and it only makes one noise. Dork! And that's all it does. Is it just
almost
goes,
as quiet as that one we rode last week.
oh, the scooter.
That one is quieter.
Because it has no drivetrain.
Yeah.
Because it legitimately turns fossil fuel. I'm sorry, it turns coal into thrust, unless you're from other parts of the world.
Or you're from Oberlin and it turns tears into
Fears.
electrons.
Oh wait, if you're from Isle of Man, it turns old beer glasses into fun. Because on the Isle of Man, they burn all their trash and make electricity out of it.
Very
Pretty
nice.
cool. Yeah, right on. So a little something for you. And then, so we talked about that. And then Michael Woods. I love this missed connections. You ever play that game when you're looking at the Craigslist
Oh,
or
yeah,
the
yeah.
singles column?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, missed connections?
Oh, yeah.
I was on the subway with the AK-47, and you were in front of me with the beehive haircut, right? And
You were
I
the
saw
half
you.
Asian with a bad case of gas, and I was the guy in the hockey mask.
That's right. That's right.
That's a
I
Weird
saw you
Al
drop
Yankovic.
I saw your I saw you drop your
Weird Al
dilator, and I knew
Yankovic
that you were all mine.
Craigslist
So anyway, so this is Michael Woods, and for the record, Michael Woods has accidentally sent several messages to us via the Misfits. So he keeps
nice.
wanting to talk to Clevelandmoto, but he keeps sending messages to the Misfits, and Liza keeps forwarding them to us. So Michael Woods says, hey Phil, realized I keep emailing the Misfits by mistake. Summary, if latest pods all very good, very intertwined and informative as usual, looking forward to the bike build. Weather here in Ireland is cool, dry, and sunny, perfect bike weather. Northwest 200, and that's of course the big race that we love so much. The Northwest 200 2021 just announced it's canceled, but this of course was expected once the Isle of Man TT was canceled. That they usually do go hand in hand. Decided to buy a new bike and cannot wait for us to get a Zero dealer here. No shit, you're not. Look, Zero is kind of an America thing right now, and if you were in Australia or you were in the continent, if you're in anywhere in Europe and somebody in Germany, they sell a lot of them. Remember, you're buying an American product that is being
It's the Germans.
It's the Germans. You remember you're buying an American product that is being altered for European consumption, and anybody who's ever taken a cord and cut it and put in a U.S. adapter on the end of it will know it doesn't work exactly the same.
They have to cut off those huge
Giant cords.
lights.
Exactly.
No, those lights that are like on the American bikes.
Yes.
That are
So
ridiculous.
keep in mind, I do understand at the moment, you guys have an Energica. Those are made in Europe. Those are made in Italy, and they are incredibly sexy, and they're extremely powerful. We have Zero in this country and Livewire. But
We have Sarah
anyway.
Connors.
So he
And you
decided to
have-
buy a new bike. Can't wait for a Zero. It's a toss-up between a Fireblade SP and a BMW S1000 RR Sport, M Sport, leaning towards the BMW, and I use the bike every day. Never driven a car, etc.
Wow.
Oh, shit. Welcome to Ireland, right?
That's cool.
Thanks for keeping us sane in the lockdown, and if I'm ever in the neighborhood, I will call in and ask if I can try... asking if I can try I'm Done helmets. I'm interested in buying online. Anyway,
Why
whatever
don't you
that
come
means.
over to America, come to the compound,
Right.
and ride SSRs.
and fall down and get drunk.
Yeah.
Shoot guns
Shoot
and
guns.
drink beer.
Yeah,
Exactly.
come on.
Like a real American.
Get a plane ticket. It's probably like $12 now to Cleveland.
It is. That's true. you can fly over and just
And
be
Steve promises to put you up in 4-star accommodations in a shipping
Right.
container with no heat or water.
And I'll make you barbecued brisket and
I saw
all
there
the
was a
food you can
beautiful-
eat.
He can hang out at a ship plant right down the
there
street.
was like a
Right.
Fucking
42-foot long fifth wheel double axle camper right outside of the shit plant.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was doing there.
That's his neighbor's property.
My
it is?
neighbor's property.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I mean, legitimately, they've got a beautiful view of your recycling vats, or whatever the fuck that is. I don't know why you would ever put a camper right there.
I think that's his
So he's
office.
the guy that bought my other house.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess.
He's
I
gonna
think
put
that's
it in
his
the back
office.
of the other property.
All right, fair enough. So that's that. So
All Rand.
So the important things to remember is one, it is still March and there's still plenty of salt on the road, as we know because our friends keep crashing.
Right.
So don't ride fast and take chances just yet.
Unless
Back
you're
the-
off-road. Off-road's
Well,
fine.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But let there be a few more rains. If you live somewhere like Denver, which just got a metric shit ton of snow or whatever.
Where my daughter lives.
Right. Let there be some rain happen to wash the silly salt off the roads, etc. Before you do anything crazy. Just remember, we got a long summer in front of us. Don't get broken right now because you'll be in rehab for all of it.
Yep.
Wear your gloves because when you're in traction, you might want to do things with your hands. Look up the monitor right now. Honda CR750 Gary Nixon Tribute Cafe Racer. So this is a bike I've wanted for a very long time. It's a single overhead cam racing motorcycle, 750cc Honda based, and I think this thing is just delightful. I don't have a problem with this, except for the fact that on Bring a Trailer, I was in the I was right there in it, man. I was going to win this bike. I was going to go to California and pick it up and making a really great adventure about it. It's in Orange County. There's palm trees behind it and all kinds of good shit. Anywho, Tarazzi rear sets, all the good shit in this bike. It's a really good bike. But I had to get out of the way because it sold for $9,600.
Wow.
And that was a little more than I was willing to spend on a completely non-street legal piece of...
And it looks comfortable.
Oh, I'd fuck that monkey all day long, man. Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of fucking monkeys,
Yeah. Jane Goodall takes issue with your next statement.
Johnny Mac today,
Yes.
and
Your
I had a very
coworker.
long, my coworker.
Yes.
Had a very long conversation about supposedly they're bringing out a new Transalp.
Yeah.
They are.
Is it true?
Hold
yeah,
on.
they trademarked
Now,
the name. They re-trademarked the name.
we do have a problem with this. Steve would like to chime in as a Transalp owner, and myself
Transalpian.
as a as a Transalpian, right? I identify as a Transalpian. What I would like to tell you about the Transalpian is what motor is supposed to be in a Transalp, Steve?
V-twin.
Thank you.
But see, this is the discussion that Johnny Mac and I had today.
Right.
And I said that they're not going to use a V-twin. They're going to use a parallel twin. And they're going to use a reduced version of the Africa Twin motor or some iteration of the NC750X.
I'm
Well,
glad
they have to
motor.
because they have to compete with the Yamaha T7, the 790 KTM, and all the rest
But I
of them.
mean, I'd rather see a reduced version of the Africa Twin motor because it's
so good.
So, for interest of our podcast listeners, yes, they chose the worst of those two things.
with the NC motor.
Yes.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Exactly.
Well, it
So,
depends. Are they going to let it rev or are they going to keep it
No,
down?
they're not gonna. They can't let that motor. That motor can't rev
I agree with Steve.
because it's a long stroke.
Right.
Well, do
There's
you
no
think
way
they're
they can get it to rev.
I'm going to say it this way. That motor is a diesel simulator.
Right.
But it's got to be in its own class. I mean, to me,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
should keep it in the,
Flying
NC
J
class. Yeah, but I'm just
Right.
saying that
Loves truck stop class.
right.
Right.
No, but I'm just saying. I
The
mean,
fact
I
that
don't
that
mind
motorcycle
motor.
doesn't have a 35-foot trailer is a waste of that motor because there is nothing less orgasmic than the NC700 motor. The NC700 motor should be reserved for two things. Men over 70 that lack melanin.
And great.
No, I got it. So when you take the blue pill and it won't go
Yeah,
down after
right,
4 hours,
right.
they send you an NC700X and you ride it.
Exactly. And your boner just goes right away. They put gold rims on this thing to fool you into thinking it was a Yamaha, right? It's not.
No.
It's not. It's not a Yamaha. I did check, and yes, it is true. This by the way is an artist concept. This is an 11-year-old in China made this art. You can do that for like Buckaroo or what they call it, Fiverr. You can be like, hey, look, Fiverr, here's $5. Tell me what the new Harley Davidson is going to look like, and a kid in North Korea will draw that for you. That's where that art came from, I'm sure. And if you read the article, it tells you as much. This is an artist rendering of what it might look like.
Yeah, the only
But is the engine what it might be in it, or is
I don't
it?
give a shit,
It is.
dude.
It's all they did was
But-
the whole thing stemmed from the fact that all Honda did was re-trademark the name.
Right.
Well, my
Exactly.
argument is that okay, so the most logical engine they would use for that bike would be the NT700V. Which is a-
NC750.
No.
No, the NT700V.
No, I agree. The Deauville motor, the Deauville motor.
But I think the problem is
Because
is
that would be the correct lineage, a V-twin to a V-twin to a V-twin. And that's literally completing the trifecta of
Right.
Transalp to PC100 to NC750V Deauville, the Deauville.
yeah,
to
but the Deauville
Transalp.
is the idea.
I get
and
it.
the fact is, it's the thing
You're
doesn't
right.
produce enough horsepower.
Yeah.
and it's inefficient.
Right.
So I think Honda has to look at.
Yeah.
So my argument with John was
You're right, but they won't do that.
no. But my argument with John was I think they should go with a reduced size Africa Twin motor.
Yeah.
Because they could probably get 75 horsepower out of a 750cc parallel twin, 270 degree, like whatever's in the Africa Twin now. It puts out 95 horsepower. They could get 75 horsepower out of a 700.
You're very excited.
Easily.
Would you like me to ruin that?
No, you can ruin it because I know it's not going to happen. I said they're going to put this 50 horsepower piece of shit engine in it. And then it'll be so its lineage is now an NC 750X.
It's going to be yet another boring parallel twin. So the rumor mill is claiming that the new bike will be powered by the NC 750 parallel twin cylinder engine, meaning easygoing power and torque delivery, fantastic fuel economy, and a DCT version is on the cards. And there you go. You're never going to have sex ever again. Congratulations on your Lorna Doone. You've walked up to the vending machine. You pressed N13 when you should have pressed N13, and instead of ho-hos, you got a goddamn Lorna Doone. And we've all been there. We all wanted ho-hos, and we all got the Lorna Doone.
You have no money left.
If you've ever worked a vending machine, you'll know that those fucking buttons will fuck you, and you think you're going to get something cool, and you get a goddamn Lorna Doone. And nobody ever bought a vending machine Lorna Doone on purpose.
They need to put a V6.
2 hours and 30 minutes.
I mean, a V6. They need to put a V-twin in that. And they need to redesign the V-twin.
Do you know what this bike needs to do? Wheelie. Do you know what a Transalp needs to do?
Yeah, wheelie.
Cocaine. Because every Transalp did cocaine.
Yeah.
Every Transalp ever had a blow habit. Like we all know, if you've ever owned one, you know, you get on the bike and you're like, this is a Perry-Dakar replica. And you're like, okay, let's see what it does. What it does is first and second gear wheelies and not pay child support. That's what that bike does. What every NC 700 has done is ordered shit through ARP.
Yeah, and it goes to work every day on time.
It goes to work every day. It's reliable. It's a good producer.
It
gets to bed on time.
It takes care of groceries. All the groceries
are so close to the Africa Twin, though. That's why it shared like 70% of the parts with the Africa Twin.
Yeah.
So that's why I said that's why they should use the Africa Twin motor, a reduced size Africa Twin motor.
Yeah. And my only problem with the Africa Twin is I'm kind of a Sega Genesis guy. Like, I can play a Sega Genesis because it has the right number of buttons. But when I get into a PlayStation or something more modern, there's way too many fucking buttons.
See,
and I forget what they do.
I'm a PC guy, so
that's
I have
totally
like
different.
113 buttons to play with.
Exactly.
So.
And that's why you can have an Africa Twin. But for me, I need to have like maximum 7 buttons because I have maximum 10 digits. And if I got to take my pants off to press a button and engage traction control, fuck you. And when I rode Liza's fucking Africa Twin,
there shouldn't be an asterisk anywhere
look,
on a
I nearly
bike.
killed somebody in Santa Cruz because I was looking at the buttons on the left-hand side trying to figure out what the fucking star did. And a star, turns out, doesn't give you a power-up in this one. So the star can be whatever you want it to be.
You know what? Her Africa Twin might as well be a Goldwing.
Did you see the seat she got? It's red, white, and goddamn glitter blue. Like, she got a seat that is like from the Evil Knievel Trust Fund of like, seriously, she has a red, white, and blue motorcycle with a red, white, and blue seat. It's matchy-matchy. It's like super matchy-matchy. It's like if you had a purple fucking chartreuse purple tuxedo and you went and built shoes to match it.
And a single horn in front of my
You're
forehead.
one step away from Joker. Like, so anyway, I don't know. We've gone off on a tangent, which never happens on this podcast.
No.
Never.
But not for nothing. I do think, like, I'm a little angry because Transalp legit used to mean Transalp. It meant you were wearing the wrong clothes and you were doing a mountain below.
Now it'll have to be the neutral gender.
I like
neutral gender.
What I like about it,
now it's the non-gender specific, okay with everything.
it was narrow.
It's the
but it was
non-offensive.
also narrow.
Of
I mean,
course.
the bike was narrow,
Yeah.
and I like the V-twin.
And it could lay on your leg and not burn your thigh.
No, it does that, but I don't care. I mean,
Look, a Transalp was a Transalp, and I'm okay with it. And the legit old Transalp, which we've both owned them, and they're cool. And a Transalp is a Transalp, but this thing is an NC6. This is an NC7 motor in
with
yet
a
another.
little different bodywork.
Dude, they've put this motor in scooters. They've put this motor in touring bikes. They've put this motor in adventure bikes. They've put this motor in street bikes. They've put this motor in hot dog carts. There's nothing this motor hasn't gone in. Every time Honda looks at this,
Honda fits. It's a
I was going to say,
Honda Fit motor.
Steve, I knew Steve was going to say that
know.
shit. It's one half. It's the worst half of a Honda Fit motor.
They say that
want
that is
the
a
two
rumor.
outside
It's not
cylinders.
100% true.
Bullshit.
Okay.
Okay, that's just like when somebody's like, okay, well, you know, the Honda PC800 wasn't really designed by Lexus. And I'm like, no, fuck you. The Honda PC800 is half of a Honda Accord.
It looks like a Lexus
It's
from
the
the back.
left half of a Honda Accord. They cut the middle out of a Honda Accord. That's what a
the fuel
PC800
injection.
is. but it's got a V-twin. Look, you can wheelie a V-twin.
I'd rather have a PC800 motor in there.
Of course I would.
Because the
Jesus
PC800
Christ.
motor is the smoothest motor that ever was made.
And it likes to wheelie.
It does.
It does. I've wheelied the shit out of a PC800.
Plus it's shaft drive.
Every NC800 I get on and I'm like, I'm going to rev this thing out. Bleh. And as soon as you get off idle, it's the rev limiter.
Wait, idle is the rev limit.
It's got a 19-speed transmission, but you can only use 6 of them. It literally the rev
a dual
limiter.
stick.
The rev limiter is like, oh, it's awful. I thought the choke was on. That was the rev limiter. Oh, it's fucking awful to ride that bike. And you guys have both owned them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I get rid
I
of those
didn't
things
mind
as fast
mine
as I
because
can.
I don't ever rev my bike that much.
Well, let me put it this way: if you want to,
Every time you pull up the gas station and accidentally put diesel in, you'll know the marketing department fucked up.
Wait, no, it runs on diesel.
But here's the
Exactly.
tip. Here's a big tip. If you're thinking about it, it is a good
Yeah.
commuter bike. It's not exciting, but if you just ride to work in traffic, you got to
You've
get
just
there.
described a Kimco.
Right. But here's the other thing though. Never buy a new one
No! Oh, God,
because
no.
new ones are $7,900 or whatever.
Oh,
Used
no.
ones are $3,000 to $500.
You can buy an unreleased yet, so not even taken out of the crate yet, used one for half as much as a new one that's sitting on the floor.
Right.
Right. And any of those bikes.
and
When
most
you ask
every
Phil if you ever see a 750X,
Yeah.
please buy it for me and I'll buy it from you.
Okay. You mean the scooter?
No.
Oh.
the new one.
NC
The
750.
X,
Right.
yeah.
The one that we're not getting here.
No, they
No,
are.
we
They're here
haven't.
now. They came out last year. They're here. Yeah.
No, they
But
came
it's-
out in 2018.
Does it still have the 5,200 RPM red line?
It's a horrible red line.
They went to 6. I think they're at 6 now.
Oh, 6,000.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's like Cummins turbo diesel.
Right. But just for perspective, 4 years ago or whatever I bought
Yeah,
mine, it
yeah.
had 410 miles on it, and I
Yeah.
paid $3,500.
Exactly.
For it. Yep.
So you paid the kind of
Scooter
money
money.
for that I just paid for a Yamaha R3.
Right.
Right.
So I sold mine, and the day after I sold it, and I bought that Aprilia
remember
from
this.
Phil.
Right.
I bought
The
that
guy
Nana.
came and tried to sell
the
it back
guy's
to you.
like, I'll sell you back your bike for $1,000 less.
He tried to unbuy it. The dude fucking tried to unbuy it. Do you know how many times I've tried to unchlamydia? I'm sorry. I'd like
Why
to do
would
over.
anybody try to unbuy a bike? I
I've
mean, that's
never
what I
tried
don't
to unbuy a
understand.
bike in my life. I was like, I'm sorry, I've made a horrible error. Please take the title back and give me my money.
This
That
motor,
dude was like, ha ha.
he woke up and noticed his dick was 3 inches shorter, and he was like,
Oh my God. What have I done? Oh, why have the gods forsaken me? I bought an NC with a DCT. And it turns out I've become less boring. I've become less interesting.
but it has a beak.
It does have a schnabel.
Yes.
Yeah, it does
I
technically
do
have a
not like
schnabel.
that.
No.
It's the same motor as the CTX.
Yeah.
Which, if you ever ride one of those, you can literally see your cool behind you. If you look in the rearview mirror, you can see your mojo just leeching off of you. You're riding a CTX and you're like, oh shit, what's happening? Oh fuck. The bike only stops at dollar stores. It's awful.
So I don't know if you ever saw mine at its peak, but I was so high on adventure bikes,
Yeah.
even though it wasn't an
Oh, it
adventure
has
bike.
3.5 inches of travel.
I put
a
every
41
possible
millimeter forks,
fucking.
too.
I was like the biggest Farkle nerd.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing when I look back at it.
Oh.
It has a windshield that almost wrapped over the top and went to the back. It was.
It was covered in SW Motec. The whole thing was covered in exotic.
You couldn't drop it. It
No,
just
you couldn't
didn't-
drop it.
There
No,
was
that was
shit
exactly
sticking
it.
out all over the place. It was
But if it
amazing.
did fall over, it immediately dispatched a Starbucks relief wagon to come and get you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh,
It
that's
was good.
terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate our podcast. You know what? We're just unfair. All right, so fuck that. Ride fast and take chances. Press the red button.
Which one?
I know you had so many red buttons.